subscribe, like the video, and, if possible, join Patreon. But if you don't have much money, you can support the channel by watching the novels on euroaudiobooks.com. Remember that you can participate in the polls so that your favorite novel gets published for free.
And that is the best time for him to take action. Yes, Kamisato Tsukika will definitely take action in this incident. Although I know that Hatake Kakashi and the others will be fine this time, Zabuza Momochi, a member of the 7 ninja swordsmen and a rebel ninja of the elite nin of Kirigakure, is too suitable to be my whetstone in Kamisato Tsukika's eyes. Because she has not fought with other Kaga-level masters at the risk of their lives, Kamisato Uehua is still a little afraid of them. After all, who can reach the Kaga level is harmless, and who does not have one or several trump cards in his hand. These people are dangerous to Kamisato Uehua now, and there's a great possibility that they will hurt or even seriously hurt Kamisato Uehua now, and he does not want to take this risk. But Momochi Zabuza is different. His strength is also strong, but he has not reached the level of Kage. Kamisato Uehua is almost aware of his abilities. Kamisato Uehua can ensure that she will not capsize in the ditch here with Momochi Zabuza. And such a powerful, experienced, and no weird means to hurt Kamisato Uehua herself. Kamisato Uehua will naturally not let go easily. Time passed like this, until this day, Ilari and Naruto quarreled. And after the plot of Kakashi comforting Ilari appeared, Kamisato Uehua knew that Momochi Zabuza was coming. The gender of Shiro Mizunatsuki has always been controversial, and this book should be a bit fraternal. So, ahem. Anyway, Shiro Mizunatsuki's gender is left to the readers to decide. Before noon tomorrow, the author will read the comments in the comments section to decide Shiro Mizunatsuki's fate. If there are no comments, she will be written to death. Chapter 22. Let me see if you are a man or a woman. One night passed, and a new day came. That morning, because Naruto overslept, Hatake Kakashi and others went to the bridge first. Kamisato Tsukika's mission was to protect Naruto, so she did not follow him, but rushed to the bridge with Naruto after Naruto woke up. When the two arrived, the battle on the bridge had already started. On the edge of the bridge, the workers were knocked down one by one, and they were wailing in pain. In the center of the bridge, a cloud of mist wrapped the bridge, making it difficult to see what was going on inside. That was the mist created by Zabuza Momochi's Mist Shinobi technique, which could blur the surrounding environment and even blur the Sharingan's vision. Zabuza Momochi's silent killing technique was to hide in the mist and look for opportunities to attack the opponent when the opponent could not see. Although he could not see the situation inside, Kamisato Tsukika knew that Zabuza Momochi and Hatake Kakashi were confronting each other inside. Zabuza Momochi was looking for an opportunity to kill Dazna, while Hatake Kakashi was protecting Dazna and Haruno Sakura. On the other side of the bridge, pieces of ice mirrors like full-body mirrors floated in the air, forming a cage that trapped Uchiha Sasuke inside. On the ice mirror, Shiro Mizunatsuki was holding 1,000 bones and attacking Uchiha Sasuke quickly. Shiro Mizunatsuki was very fast, and Uchiha Sasuke had no power to fight back against his attack. He could only passively take the beating and was now covered with wounds. And this was because Shiro Mizunatsuki showed mercy. If Shiro Mizunatsuki was more ruthless and killed him, Yuzuki Yugao and the other two would definitely have been unable to resist. After Naruto and Kamisato Tsukika arrived, they saw Uchiha Sasuke being abused with 1,000 bones stuck in his body. Naruto naturally couldn't help it and didn't consider tactics or anything and rushed into the cage made by Shiro Mizunatsuki. This made the few people who were secretly observing speechless. This guy, whoever becomes his teammate, will be in trouble for the rest of his life. Yamai Hisashi couldn't help but complain when he saw Naruto rushing over. He thought Naruto was going to break the ice mirror from the outside to help Uchiha Sasuke escape. This was also the best choice. As a result, Naruto foolishly rushed into the trap and fell into it. Ishida on the side couldn't help but nod his head after hearing this, and then looked at Yuzuki Yugao and asked, "Their situation is not good. Should we take action now?" Yuzuki Yugao thought for a moment and shook her head after hearing this. We can continue to hide and let Wu take action. Momochi Zabuza should be a good training target for him. After saying this, Yuzuki Yugao made a gesture to Kamisato Uehua, who was looking at her from a distance, indicating that Kamisato Uehua could take action. And Kamisato Uehua nodded in response. It's really extravagant, using the 7 ninja swordsmen as training targets. Who would believe such words? Yamai Hisaji complained again, looking at Kamisato Tsukika, who rushed towards the ice mirror quickly, with a sigh in his tone. On the bridge, after receiving the instructions from Yuzuki Yugao, Kamisato Tsukika did not hesitate and appeared directly from her hiding place, and then rushed towards Mizuno Haku. His appearance immediately attracted the attention of Momochi Zabuza at the edge of the fog. Konoha Mbu, looking at Kamisato Tsukika's iconic uniform, Zabuza Momochi blurted out, and then his face turned ugly. How could Konoha Mbu be here? Where are the other Mbu members? 2 thoughts flashed through his mind, and Zabuza Momochi had already retreated. Originally, Hatake Kakashi alone was not something he could deal with. He needed to rely on Mizuno Haku to deal with the other 2 Konoha genin and then besiege with him to have a chance of winning. If a team of Mbu members were added, Zabuza Momochi did not think he could beat the opponent. Not to mention defeating Hatake Kakashi and killing Dazna. Whether he and Mizuno Haku could survive was a big problem. Zabuza, your mission has failed. And not only the mission, this time, your life will also stay here. Hatake Kakashi heard what Zabuza Momochi said and understood that Yuzuki Yugao and the others had already taken action and immediately spoke coldly to Zabuza Momochi. Really? Then let me see how you can save my life. Zabuza Momochi answered coldly, with a strong disdain in his tone. Although the situation was indeed critical, Zabuza Momochi naturally could not lose in words. However, as soon as he finished speaking, he heard a series of bangs and shattering sounds. Coming to the edge of the thick fog, Zabuza Momochi's face suddenly changed with a glance. Because the ice mirrors made by Shiro Mizunatsuki were all destroyed at this time, and Shiro Mizunatsuki's body was also flying backwards, obviously withdrew the heavy blow. On the other side, Uchiha Sasuke and Naruto, who were lying in Naruto's arms, also widened their eyes and looked at the back of the boy in front of them, and their minds were a little confused for a while. The one standing in front of the 2 was naturally Kamisato Tsukika. He just started the 5th gate of the 8 inner gates, destroying Shiro Mizunatsuki's magic mirror ice crystal with super high movement speed and strength, and knocking Shiro Mizunatsuki away. Turning his head to look at Uzumaki Naruto and Uchiha Sasuke on the ground, Kamisato Tsukika did not say anything to greet them. After all, Mbu has rules that one cannot reveal one's true identity during the mission. Kamisato Tsukika and Naruto Sasuke are too familiar with each other. As soon as he opens his mouth, he will definitely be recognized by the 2 instantly. But even if Kamisato Tsukika does not speak, he is actually recognized. Tsukika, Uzumaki Naruto blurted out. He was too familiar with Kamisato Tsukika's back, because on the night when he first felt that he was recognized, it was Kamisato Tsukika who stood in front of him. Kamisato Tsukika? Hearing Uzumaki Naruto's words, Uchiha Sasuke, who was still reluctant to believe it in his heart, could not help but speak. He was in a complicated mood for a while, and his emotions fluctuated violently. He even forgot to ignore the pain from the wound on his body. Seeing that he was recognized, Kamisato Tsukika still did not intend to admit it directly. He just lowered his voice and said, I am a member of Konoha Mbu. You guys heal your wounds first and leave the rest to me. After saying that, Kamisato Uehua rushed directly towards Mizuno Haku, who had already stood up. He wanted to see whether this beautiful person in front of him was a man or a woman. Chapter 23. Sasuke doubts his life. Kakashi is shocked when Kamisato Tsukika approached Mizuno Haku quickly again. Both Naruto Sasuke and Mizuno Haku couldn't help but secretly say how fast it was. Mizuno Haku was even more so. As the target of Kamisato Tsukika's attack, he could more intuitively feel the pressure from Kamisato Tsukika. Without hesitation, he threw the Senbon in his hand directly, And then Mizuno Haku jumped back without thinking, trying to distance himself from Kamisato Tsukika. But his Sunban was easily dodged by Kamisato Tsukika. And in a flash, Kamisato Tsukika had already arrived in front of Mizuno Haku, slashing at Mizuno Haku with the blade in his hand. Crack! In just a few seconds, the mask on Mizuno Haku's face was split in half by Kamisato Tsukika, revealing his horrified face. Almost, it was not his mask that was split, but his head. Too strong, stronger than Lord Zabuza. Shiro Mizunatsuki's back was covered in cold sweat, and his eyes were filled with horror. He had already deeply felt the breath of death. Even though they had just fought, Shiro Mizunatsuki knew that he was definitely not the opponent of the other party. There was a terrible gap between the two of them, and the other party could easily kill him. What he didn't know was that this was still because Kamisato Tsukika didn't go all out. If Kamisato Tsukika directly exploded the sixth gate, she could instantly kill Shiro Mizunatsuki. But Kamisato Tsukika didn't intend to expose the secret of the sixth gate, so it was naturally impossible to use it. But even so, Shiro Mizunatsuki's Kamisato Tsukika at the fifth gate was not something Shiro Mizunatsuki could resist. After all, this was the fifth gate of the 8 inner gates. Even when Rock Lee just entered the fifth gate, he could beat Gaara in speed and strength. Not to mention Kamisato Tsukika, who was more than one level stronger than Rock Lee in the fifth gate state because of his physique. The power and speed he showed now made Momochi Zabuza very frightened. He looked at Mizunatsuki Haku, who was already in danger and might die at any time in the hands of Kamisato Tsukika, and finally made up his mind. Momochi Zabuza moved, completely giving up the plan of looking for an opportunity to assassinate Dazna, and took the initiative to appear from the thick fog and rush towards Kamisato Tsukika and Mizunatsuki Haku. Ding! The sound of sharp blades colliding rang out. When Kamisato Tsukika was about to cut Mizunatsuki Haku's body with the weapon in her hand, Momochi Zabuza finally arrived and blocked Kamisato Tsukika's attack with the beheading sword in her hand. And Kamisato Tsukika was not surprised to see that his attack was blocked. He had seen the arrival of Momochi Zabuza a long time ago. The 7 ninja swordsmen, the elite rebel ninja of Kirigakure, the demon, Momochi Zabuza. The blade in Kamisato Tsukika's hand and the beheading sword were pressed tightly together. He looked into Momochi Zabuza's eyes and spoke, and the expression under the mask had become serious. Although Kamisato Tsukika was sure to kill Momochi Zabuza within a minute if she went all out, the other party was an elite genin after all, so he still had to be respected. You seem to be a genius. If I kill you, Konoha will definitely feel bad. Momochi Zabuza was very solemn. From his bulging arms, we can tell how hard he was trying to resist Kamisato Tsukika's blade. But after all, he was a long-established and arrogant elite genin, so Momochi Zabuza was very hard-mouthed. Kill me. That depends on whether you have the ability to do it. After saying that, Kamisato Tsukika swung the blade in his hand again and took the initiative to attack Momochi Zabuza. The speed of his blade swinging was so fast that it turned into an afterimage in Naruto Sasuke's eyes, and he couldn't see Kamisato Tsukika's attack at all. As one of the 7 ninja swordsmen, the owner of the beheading sword, and the famous elite genin, Momochi Zabuza's swordsmanship was naturally not weak. But he used a two-handed sword after all, and took a mighty and fierce route. He was short in flexibility, so facing Kamisato Tsukika's fast attack, the whole person was directly suppressed. This made Uchiha Sasuke and Uzumaki Naruto, who were watching the battle, widen their eyes. They didn't expect Kamisato Tsukika to be so powerful, especially Uchiha Sasuke. He stared at Kamisato Tsukika and Momochi Zabuza in the battle with his Sharingan, full of disbelief. Amazing. Yuewa is so powerful. She is a ninja that even Kakashi can't beat. Naruto shouted excitedly. He didn't feel jealous of Kamisato Yuewa's strength. He was just excited and happy. Damn, why is this guy so strong? But Uchiha Sasuke was different. He looked at Zabuza Momochi, who was beating Kamisato Yuewa. His clenched fists turned white because he was too strong. There was confusion, disbelief, anger and jealousy in his eyes. But this is normal. Any normal person would feel unbalanced and uncomfortable if he saw that his competitor, who was evenly matched with him a month ago, suddenly became able to suppress and crush his enemy. On the other side, Hatake Kakashi and Haruno Sakura, who came out of the fog, also saw Zabuza Momochi and Kamisato Uehua fighting. Haruno Sakura also recognized Kamisato Uehua's identity at a glance. After hearing Naruto's shouting, Hatake Kakashi also widened his eyes and showed an expression of disbelief. Although he had never seen Kamisato Tsukika, he often heard her name from the three disciples. Naruto often used this name to confront Sasuke. From the three disciples' words, Hatake Kakashi also roughly knew some of Kamisato Tsukika's situation. A genius who rose a year ago, a beautiful boy who was a rival of Sasuke in the ninja school, the top student of Naruto Sasuke's class, etc. This information gave Hatake Kakashi a general understanding of Kamisato Tsukika. But Hatake Kakashi could never have imagined that the Konoha Umbu, who could suppress Momochi Zabuza, was actually the Kamisato Tsukika mentioned by Naruto and the others. Perhaps Naruto, Sasuke, and the others were not very clear. Even if they saw Kamisato Tsukika suppressing Momochi Zabuza, they didn't know what it meant. They just felt that Kamisato Tsukika was very strong, but they didn't have a specific concept. But Hatake Kakashi knew very well what Kamisato Tsukika's suppression of Momochi Zabuza meant. It meant that Kamisato Tsukika's attainments in taijutsu were at least at the level of Junin, and her attainments in swordsmanship had even reached the level of elite Junin. If you remember correctly, Kamisato Tsukika was the same age as Naruto Sasuke. In other words, Kamisato Tsukika was only 12 years old, less than 13 years old. Less than 13 years old, elite Junin? Hatake Kakashi took a breath. Chapter 24. Zabuza is crushed. Hatake Kakashi couldn't help but take a deep breath when he thought of Kamisato Tsukika's ability to be an elite Junin at the age of less than 13. He himself is a true genius, a genius recognized by the entire ninja world, and he was already a Konoha Junin at the age of 12. However, although the difference between Junin and elite Junin seems to be only the two words elite, only those who have reached the level of elite Junin know how big the gap is. This gap can be described in the simplest four words. 1 in 100. The ratio between Konoha Junin and elite Junin is 100:1. This is enough to prove that elite Junin is rare. Even Hatake Kakashi, who only took 12 years to reach the level of Junin, took nearly 10 years to succeed from Junin to elite Junin. Of course, this is also closely related to his experience. But no matter what, elite Junin under the age of 13 is a very explosive existence, no matter what period. No wonder, it turns out that the reason why the village Sen Umbu here is because of him. Looking at the three people, Yuzuki Yugao, who had already appeared but did not take action, and seeing that they did not take action but were ready to take action, and thinking about Kamisato Uehua's age and his talent, Hatake Kakashi finally guessed the reason why the village sent Yuzuki Yugao and others here. Obviously, it was to train Kamisato Uehua. It's really a luxury to use an elite Junin as a training object. After thinking it through, even Hatake Kakashi couldn't help but sigh in a low voice. Then he also cheered up and focused on the duel between Kamisato Uehua and Momochi Zabuza, ready to take action at any time. If such a genius really died, it would really be a huge loss for Konoha. Kamisato Uehua didn't know what the onlookers were thinking. At this time, he was waving the weapon in his hand with great pleasure, using Momochi Zabuza to hone his swordsmanship. Ding ding ding. Swish. There was another collision. As Zabuza Momochi was slashed in the chest by Kamisato Tsukika, he also took the opportunity to leave the battle. Lord Zabuza Momochi. Looking at the bleeding wound on Zabuza Momochi's chest, Shiro Mizunatsuki asked with concern, his face a little pale. I'm fine. Zabuza Momochi was certainly not fine, but he was even less likely to show his vulnerable side in front of Shiro Mizunatsuki. After saying that, Zabuza Momochi ignored the wound on his chest and raised one hand. Water style, mist shinobi technique. In an instant, the fog was everywhere. The fog quickly spread with Zabuza Momochi and Shiro Mizunatsuki as the center, and in a blink of an eye, a fog group with a diameter of 20 to 30 meters was formed, covering Kamisato Tsukika. Is he going to use the silent killing technique against Wu? I'll sense his position. Outside the fog, Yamai Hisaji said, and was about to use the perception ninjutsu, and Ishida Ichi was also ready to enter the fog to help Kamisato Uehua. However, Hatake Kakashi spoke calmly. No, Momochi Zabuza is not going to kill people. He wants to escape. At the same time, Kamisato Uehua in the fog also instantly saw through Momochi Zabuza's idea of using the fog to escape. You can't escape. Kamisato Tsukika quickly formed a seal. He formed a seal very quickly, and the seals he formed were very few. It took less than 2 seconds to complete it. Wind style, wild wind passing. The next moment, the wind rose from the flat ground, and the wind howled. In the fog, after using the mist shinobi technique, Momochi Zabuza was ready to use the shadow clone technique to stay behind and cover himself and Mizuno Tsukishiro's retreat. However, before Momochi Zabuza could take any action, he was almost unstable because of the sudden strong wind. The fog moved quickly in the strong wind and soon dissipated, revealing the figures of Momochi Zabuza and Mizuno Tsukishiro. What a strong wind-style ninjutsu! Hatake Kakashi looked at Momochi Zabuza, who was not far away with a solemn expression, and then looked at Kamisato Tsukishiro, and his inner shock to Kamisato Tsukishiro increased. Originally, he thought Kamisato Tsukishiro should be an elite genin who was only good at swordsmanship, but he didn't expect Kamisato Tsukishiro's ninjutsu to be so strong. This kind of ninjutsu, this kind of power, is a bit difficult for ordinary genin to release, and it will consume a lot of chakra. However, even though he couldn't see Kamisato Tsukika's expression, Hatake Kakashi could feel that Kamisato Tsukika was very relaxed. While Hatake Kakashi was sighing in his heart, Kamisato Tsukika quickly formed a seal again. Fire style, great fireball technique. A huge fireball was spit out from Kamisato Tsukika's mouth, and the scorching heat wave instantly spread, making the onlookers feel a wave of heat coming in their faces. This was even more true for Zabuza Momochi and Shiro Mizuno, who were facing the great fireball head-on. The two jumped and dodged without hesitation to avoid the attack of the great fireball. But when the two jumped in the air, Kamisato Tsukika on the ground had already used the brief opportunity when the chakra in her mouth stopped being transported, but the great fireball had not yet dissipated, to throw out the kunai in her hand. In the sky, looking at the flying kunai, Zabuza Momochi waved the beheading sword in his hand while falling. However, just when Zabuza Momochi was blocking the kunai, two kunai that seemed not to hit him collided with each other on his side. Ding! One of the kunai changed direction and went towards Zabuza Momochi's back. This was too sudden. Who would have thought of it? Moreover, this kunai was too close to Zabuza Momochi, and Zabuza Momochi didn't pay attention at all. By the time he felt a sense of crisis, it was too late. Puff! Zabuza Momochi and Shiro Mizuno fell to the ground, and the sound of the kunai entering the flesh also penetrated Zabuza Momochi's ears. Cough! Shiro Mizuno covered his lower abdomen and coughed up blood. There was a kunai that pierced his body. At this time, blood overflowed from the wound, and in a blink of an eye, Shiro Mizuno's hands were dyed red. Just now, Kamisato Tsukika's sudden kunai killer move was blocked by Shiro Mizuno for Zabuza Momochi. He used his life to exchange for Zabuza Momochi's life. Shiro, without time to think about what happened just now, why this kunai pierced into Mizuno Haku's lower abdomen, Zabuza Momochi roared, and his eyes instantly filled with blood. Uchiha! This kunai, throwing technique. I didn't expect to see it again. Hatake Kakashi said to himself with wide eyes. He had seen such a kunai throwing technique before from his former subordinate, the current Konoha S-level rebel ninja, Uchiha Itachi. Hatake Kakashi thought that the next time he would see this technique would be when he faced Uchiha Itachi again. Unexpectedly, Kamisato Tsukika would also know it. Not only Hitaki Kakashi, but Uchiha Sasuke also widened his eyes, and his eyes were red. Chapter 25. The new dance king of the ninja world, Uchiha Itachi. Uchiha Sasuke clenches fists, his eyes red. It seems that Sharingan itself is red. In short, Kamisato Tsukika's kunai throwing skills triggered Uchiha Sasuke's bad memories, reminding him of the man he hated and vowed to kill. Good, so awesome. Naruto on the side opened his eyes wide and spoke. With his IQ, he hadn't even figured out the principle of this kunai throwing technique. But after saying that, Naruto looked at Mizuno Tsukishiro in Zabuza Momochi's arms and fell silent again. Just now, after Kamisato Tsukishiro split Mizuno Tsukishiro's mask, Naruto recognized this kind big sister, even though he was a boy. And at this time, this kind-hearted boy seemed to be dying. Well, Master Zabuza, I'm sorry, I may not be able to continue to be your tool. Mizuno Tsukishiro showed Zabuza Momochi a warm but regretful smile. And there seemed to be relief in the smile. In the situation just now, actually Mizuno Haku had other choices, and he didn't necessarily need to exchange his life for Zabuza's. But Mizuno Haku still chose this way. He chose to leave, because he was not qualified as a tool of Mr. Zabuza. He was always soft-hearted and couldn't perfectly perform the tasks assigned to him by Mr. Zabuza. He was always soft-hearted and missed many important opportunities for Mr. Zabuza. Moreover, although he wanted to be a qualified tool of Mr. Zabuza, he didn't like such a life. He hated killing, blood, death, and seeing those dark things. Since he couldn't be a perfect tool, then maybe leaving was the best choice. Soon, he was leaving. Countless images flashed quickly in his mind, and Mizuno Haku muttered to himself. Zabuza's face began to blur in his vision, and the sound of white was gradually fading away. But his mother's face and her gentle white gradually became clear. I'm sorry, Mr. Zabuza. I'm here, mother. Feeling that the person in his arms had been completely drained of strength and completely limp, Momochi Zabuza stopped shouting. His red eyes seemed to have lost their light. His body also became a little stiff. At this moment, Momochi Zabuza was very confused. The scenes of himself and Mizuno Haku together kept flashing his mind. The scenes that had happened were replayed in his mind. But these scenes flashed too fast and kept changing, making it impossible for Momochi Zabuza to freeze. He just subconsciously laid Mizuno Haku's body flat on the ground, then stood up and looked at Kamisato Tsukika. Although it is a useless tool, it is really unpleasant to be destroyed by you like this. Momochi Zabuza looked at Kamisato Tsukika and spoke. His tone seemed very calm, as if Mizuno Haku's death had no effect on him. If it weren't for the subconscious roar he just let out and the constant calling of Haku, while holding Mizunatsuki Haku, this kind of performance would probably have fooled the people present. But now, the few people watching looked at Momochi Zabuza and knew that he must be in pain at this moment. Kamisato Tsukika didn't say anything, and he didn't expect that Mizunatsuki Haku would use his own life to exchange for Momochi Zabuza's life. It was just a kunai, and Mizunatsuki Haku could have blocked it with just one arm, without even getting seriously injured. But he chose to use his most vulnerable lower abdomen to block it. Just like in the original work, Mizunatsuki Haku chose to use his most deadly heart to block Hitaki Kakashi's Chidori. It was Mizunatsuki Haku himself who took the initiative to choose death. This made Kamisato Uehua feel a little complicated. He killed someone after all, and he was a kind-hearted person. With a sigh in his heart, Kamisato Uehua suppressed these emotions in just a moment. In this world where strength is respected, death is inevitable. If they were the weaker side today, he would also be ruthlessly killed by Momochi Zabuza. Compassion can be there, but people without compassion have lost their bottom line. But people cannot be saints, and saints hurt others and themselves. Since you destroyed my tools, I will destroy you. Go to hell, you little brat of Konoha. With a roar, Zabuza Momochi looked ferocious, holding a beheading sword, and rushed towards Kamisato Tsukika. And Kamisato Tsukika was also ready. Zabuza Momochi might be confused now, but he was definitely determined to kill himself. The current Zabuza Momochi was not the Zabuza Momochi who was injured by Hitaki Kakashi's summoning and had difficulty in moving in the original book. Although he also had scars on his chest, it did not affect his strength. So, if we look at Zabuza Momochi from the perspective of Hitaki Kakashi's relaxed and violent eyes after the death of Shiro Mizunatsuki in the original book, it is undoubtedly a stupid choice. Let's try that one. The swordsmanship learned from Captain Hana. Tsukika Kamisato's thoughts flashed through her mind, and her body started, and she also rushed towards Zabuza Momochi. The two were very fast, and they were sprinting at full speed, so they met in a flash. But at the moment when the two met, Kamisato Uehua had become three people. They appeared on the left, front, and right of Zabuza Momochi. Kamisato Uehua, in three directions, attacked directly. One of them chopped directly on the head with the blade in his hand, one chopped horizontally at the waist, and one stabbed directly with the sword. When this sword technique was used, Zabuza Momochi's heart was shaken, and the sense of crisis of death came again. He couldn't help but shudder, and his hair stood on end. But Zabuza Momochi was an elite genin after all. Even if he was a little confused just now, his body's instinct of wandering on the edge of death countless times still responded. He jumped up suddenly and was about to pass over Kamisato Uehua's sword in front of him to avoid this sword technique that seemed to be sure to kill him. However, at the moment when Zabuza Momochi passed Kamisato Uehua, Kamisato Uehua's long sword was reversed, and his body twisted, and he had already stabbed Zabuza Momochi's back. This stab was too fast. There was no sign. There was no way to avoid it. Puff! The long sword directly penetrated into Zabuza Momochi's back, and Kamisato Tsukika's other two shadow clone also dissipated directly. Cough! Zabuza Momochi coughed up blood. It's over. Kamisato Tsukika's calm voice reached Zabuza Momochi's ears, and also woke up the stunned people beside him. Three-day moon dance? No, this is not the 3-day moon dance, no. This is the 3-day moon dance. Yuzuki Yugao widened her eyes and talked to herself. Chapter 26. Don't wait until the flowers are gone before they are picked. Konoha-style swordsmanship, the 3-moon dance. This is the swordsmanship that Yuzuki Yugao specializes in. She has practiced it for more than 10 years, so it is absolutely impossible for her to make a mistake. But the 3-moon dance used by Kamisato Tsukika is different from the 3-moon dance in her memory, which is why Yuzuki Yugao said, "No, this is not the 3-moon dance." However, in the end, Yuzuki Yugao still believed that Kamisato Tsukika was using the 3-moon dance. It was a modified 3-moon dance. And Yuzuki Yugao was not wrong. The 3-moon dance that Kamisato Tsukika just used was indeed modified. He added the deadly chain of 3 immortal swords to the basis of the 3-moon dance, forming a new swordsmanship with stronger lethality and more difficult to crack. Just when Yuzuki Yugao was still shaking in her heart, something strange happened. Momochi Zabuza, who was stabbed in the back by Kamisato Tsukika, actually moved. He suddenly turned around and slashed at Kamisato Tsukika. This attack was very sudden. When everyone thought it was over, Zabuza Momochi could still attack suddenly. At this time, Kamisato Tsukika's knife was stuck in Zabuza Momochi's body. When Zabuza Momochi turned around, the blade turned with it, causing Kamisato Tsukika's body to be pulled. If someone was inexperienced or slow to react, he would probably be cut in half by Zabuza Momochi and die on the spot. But Kamisato Tsukika was Kamisato Tsukika after all. When Zabuza Momochi turned around, he did not hesitate to let go of the hand holding the knife handle and jump back. At the same time, Kamisato Tsukika quickly took out a few kunai from the ninja bag and threw them at Zabuza Momochi while jumping up. Ki. It seemed that the sudden attack, just now, had used up all his strength. Zabuza Momochi was unable to dodge the kunai and was directly hit by Kamisato Tsukika's kunai. This time, Zabuza Momochi could no longer hold on. His body softened, and he knelt down directly and then fell to the ground, coughing up blood. This time, it was really over. Zabuza Momochi also knew that his life was over. His vision had begun to blur. Looking at the person lying on the ground in the distance, he used all his strength to crawl towards the other person. He wanted to be with Mizuno Bai. At this moment, I don't know if Zabuza Momochi was thinking in his heart. If he chose to give up his ambitions, put down all hatred, find a place where he could live with Mizuno Bai in peace, how good it would be. Unfortunately, it was too late after all. Looking at Zabuza Momochi, who had completely lost his breath and fell on a road near Mizuno Bai, Kamisato Yuawa's calm heart couldn't help but be touched. Others may not know, but Kamisato Yuawa knows that if Zabuza Momochi can choose between Mizuno Bai and his own ambitions again, he will definitely choose Mizuno Bai. However, there is no if. What has happened is destined to be unchangeable, unless time can be reversed. Therefore, before you are able to reverse time, you must make sure that you do not leave too many regrets. Kamisato Yuawa thought to herself, what a waste. I knew this guy could only talk big. What kind of devil is Momochi Zabuza? He is just trash. When everyone was silent and sighing, an arrogant and disdainful voice sounded, interrupting everyone's thoughts. Kamisato Yuawa looked over and saw that the other side of the bridge was full of people, led by an old man in a suit and leather shoes, but short and sinister. This man was Zabuza Momochi's employer, and the villain in Dasna's mouth, the rich man in the country of waves, Cardo. You guys are so bold that you dare to be my enemy. Today I will let you know the consequences of being my enemy. Cardo continued to speak. His tone was arrogant, and he didn't take Kamisato Yuawa and others seriously at all. This made Kamisato Yuawa speechless. He was obviously in the ninja world, and he was obviously just an ordinary person. Who gave him the courage to be so arrogant to the ninja? However, it seems understandable if you think about it carefully. After all, although Cardo is an ordinary person, he is very rich. In this world, as long as you have money, you can make ninjas listen to you. Of course, this refers to those wandering ninjas, and those wandering ninjas with weak strength. Cardo usually kills too many weak, wandering ninjas who flatter him for money. In his heart, ninjas become people who are stronger than ordinary people, but only slightly stronger than ordinary people. They become people who will obey as long as they are paid. This is probably the reason why Cardo does not take ninjas seriously. As for Zabuza Momochi, Kamisato Tsukika can't figure out why an elite genin like Zabuza Momochi would swallow his anger against Cardo. If you need money, just kill Cardo quietly and take his money. If you are worried about causing public outrage among other wealthy people in the world, then kill Cardo, support an obedient Kato, and be the black hand behind the scenes. Is it worth swallowing anger for a little bounty? In the same way, the ninjas in this world are so powerful, especially the various illusions, sealing techniques, and curse seal techniques, which are very unsolvable for ordinary people. It is incredible that the ninja village is restricted by the daimyo's mansion. In the eyes of Kamisato Yuawa, it is really absurd. However, it doesn't matter. Kamisato Yuawa doesn't care about these things, as long as they don't conflict with his interests. Go kill these guys. While Kamisato Yuawa's thoughts were flowing, Cardo spoke again and ordered the thugs behind him. After hearing the order, the thugs behind him yelled and rushed towards Kamisato Yuawa and others with a ferocious look. A whole, people like you are garbage. Kamisato Yuawa hadn't made a move yet, and Uzumaki Naruto, who had been angered by Cardo's words, couldn't help it and rushed directly towards the thugs who rushed over. Multiple shadow clone technique. Suddenly, hundreds of Uzumaki Naruto's shadow clone appeared. Today, these villains who usually bully men and women saw for the first time the fear of ninjas. And Kato was killed by Kamisato Tsukika's kunai. Chapter 27 New Mission. Class 8 The mission in the Land of Waves is over. The bridge was successfully completed, and the bully Kato died. The people of the Land of Waves are no longer oppressed, and their lives can slowly get better through this bridge. The end of the mission in the Land of Waves also means that the Kakashi team has completed their first S-level mission, which makes the resumes of Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura look much more impressive. And Kamisato Tsukika has also completed his first mission after becoming ninja. However, the first mission after becoming a ninja is an S-level mission. I am afraid that Kamisato Tsukika is the only one in the entire Konoha. After the mission in the Land of Waves, although the 6th team did not return to Konoha first, they did not go with the Yamato Hatake Kakashi team openly, but continued to hide and return to Konoha with the Hatake Kakashi team in secret. In the process of returning to the village, Naruto seemed very excited. After all, he completed an A-level mission, and in the process of executing this mission, he also learned a lot of good things from Hatake Kakashi, which made Naruto feel that his strength has greatly increased. On the contrary, Uchiha Sasuke seemed depressed and a little depressed all the way. The reason was naturally very simple. He was hit by Mizunatsuki white hits. There were also people who had just graduated from the ninja school. After a month, the competitors who were almost the same in strength before now had the strength to kill the elite Chunin, and he couldn't even beat the tools of the elite Chunin. This made Uchiha Sasuke's mentality difficult to balance. His heart was difficult to calm down, and he doubted his life and himself. This kind of blow made Uchiha Sasuke unable to be happy even if his other eye became a double Magatama. Hatake Kakashi was naturally aware of Uchiha Sasuke's status, but he was also very troubled. If there was only a small gap between Uchiha Sasuke and Kamisato Tsukika, even if Kamisato Tsukika's strength was Chunin, Hatake Kakashi was confident that he could use a month of special training to let Uchiha Sasuke catch up with Kamisato Tsukika. After all, Uchiha Sasuke, who opened the 2 Tomo Sharingan, already had the ability to practice his technique. But the gap between Uchiha Sasuke and Kamisato Tsukika was too big. One was not even as strong as a Chunin, while the other could already kill an elite Chunin. This gap would take an ordinary person a lifetime to catch up with. For a genius, this gap might be caught up, but it might also be stretched longer. Kamisato Tsukika was able to improve her strength from a ninja school student to an elite Chunin in 1 year and 1 month. This improvement was so terrifying that Kakashi himself trembled when he heard it. This talent scared Kakashi, who knew he was a genius. So, he didn't know how to comfort Uchiha Sasuke for a while. It wasn't until he returned to the village and handed in the task to the 3rd Hokage that Hatake Kakashi made a decision. It may be a little too early, but after seeing your classmates become so outstanding, I think it will be difficult for you to keep training step by step. After coming out of the Hokage's office, Hatake Kakashi spoke to Uchiha Sasuke and the other 2. Looking at the 3 pairs of eyes looking at him expectantly, Hatake Kakashi continued, "So, I will give you a day off, and you don't have to do the mission tomorrow. The day after tomorrow, I will continue to train you 3. Great, long live teacher Kakashi." Uzumaki Naruto couldn't help but jump up with joy when he heard that Kakashi was going to give them special training. Although Uzumaki Naruto was not jealous of Kamisato Tsukika's strength, he couldn't help but envy her in his heart. He also wanted to become a powerful ninja. Similarly, Uchiha Sasuke's eyes lit up and his face looked much better. On the way back to the village before, Uchiha Sasuke had been thinking about why Kamisato Tsukika had become so powerful. Then Uchiha Sasuke felt that the reason why there was such a huge gap between the 2 of them must be because Kamisato Tsukika had been practicing under the guidance of a famous teacher for this month. But during this month, he was wasting his time on those complicated and meaningless D-level tasks. At the same time, Hatake Kakashi did not teach him any useful abilities. Therefore, Kamisato Tsukika pulled the distance between them. After thinking about these, Uchiha Sasuke has already decided that if Hatake Kakashi is still the same after returning to the village and continues to waste his time, then he must ask the Hokage to change the leader Chunin. Now it seems that it is not necessary. Kamisato Tsukika, wait. I will catch up with you and surpass you soon. If Hatake Kakashi knew what Uchiha Sasuke was thinking at this time, Hatake Kakashi would be speechless. He would seriously tell Uchiha Sasuke that although the teacher's teaching is indeed important, the gap between him and Kamisato Tsukika is entirely due to talent rather than the teacher. Even if the 2 practice under the guidance of the same person, Uchiha Sasuke will still be left far behind by Kamisato Tsukika until he can no longer compare with her. Then, Let's gather at the No. 7 training ground the day after tomorrow and disband. After Hitaki Kakashi finished speaking, he disappeared on the spot. The reason why Hitaki Kakashi decided to give special training to Naruto Sasuke and the others this time was because he felt that he also needed special training. During this trip to the land of waves, Hitaki Kakashi was very dissatisfied with himself because of the experience of being ambushed by Zabuza Momochi with the water prison technique. He was really a little slack. This time, he was lucky and met the soft-hearted Mizuno Tsukishiro Haku and happened to encounter the experience of Kamisato Tsukika. So, it ended so smoothly. But it is impossible to be so lucky every time, and in a place like the ninja world, the price of failure may be life. Team 7 changed from the plot development in the original work because of Kamisato Tsukika. The butterfly from Kamisato Tsukika flapped its wings and brought new developments to the story of the ninja world. Kamisato Tsukika naturally didn't know about this. He just carried out his various trainings as planned. During the day, Kamisato Tsukika would carry out Umbu's tasks, deal with different things, fight different enemies, and quickly accumulate his experience. At night, Kamisato Tsukika, who was alone at home, was also conducting the deduction of Flying Thunder God Technique and Spiritualization Technique, thinking about the solution to the chakra quantity, and proceeding one by one in an orderly manner. Time passed, and after a period of time, Team 6, where Kamisato Tsukika was located, received another mission. This time the mission location was in a country called Kawanakuni. At the same time, Team 8, led by Yuhi Kurenai, also received a mission to go to the employer to find someone in Kawanakuni, Akamosa's Gold Mountain. Chapter 28. Encounter with Class 8 River Country, Osamu, Golden Mountain. If Kamisato Tsukika heard this name, she would definitely know that the so-called Finding People mission that Yuhi Kurenai and the others received was definitely not that simple. After all, this place hides another ruthless man from Kirigakure. Like Zabuza Momochi, he is also an elite genin, Kuroho Raiga. And this guy is also a rebel ninja, like Zabuza Momochi. The difference is that Zabuza is the second-generation 7 ninja swordsman, while Kuroho Raiga is the first-generation 7 ninja swordsman. Kuroho Raiga participated in the Third Ninja World War and escaped from Might Dai. He was one of the surviving 3 ninja swordsmen at that time. Later, after returning to Kirigakure, Kuroho Raiga defected because he was dissatisfied with the tyranny of the village. After defecting, Kuroho Raiga came to River Country, Osamu, Golden Mountain by chance, and settled here. In the original work, Kurocho Raiga died at Ranmaru's hands. In short, Osamu Golden Mountain is definitely a safe place. The employers of Kurenai and others said that they were looking for people, which was mostly a lie. Just like Dasna before, they were afraid that they could not afford the high remuneration for high-level tasks. So they hid the task information. The fact is really like this. Osamu Golden Mountain appeared in the original work after Tsunade returned to Konoha to serve as the 5th Hokage. There's a reason why it appeared now. The reason is the success of Dasna in the Land of Waves. This matter was accidentally known by a villager who escaped from Osamu Golden Mountain. That is, the employer of this mission. The purpose of this employer leaving the village is to seek help from ninjas outside and rescue the oppressed villagers of Osamu Golden Mountain. But after some inquiries, he found that the lowest mission involving ninjas is a B-level mission. If the enemy encountered is strong or there are many enemies, the mission level may be upgraded to A level. If Genin is involved, then the mission is an S-class mission. Although the employer did not know what level of ninja Kurokuro Raiga was, he knew after analysis that the mission he was going to issue was at least an A-class mission. Such a mission requires too much bounty, and the employer simply cannot afford it. But there is always a way out. On the way to Konoha, the employer was lucky enough to hear about the Wave Country. So he had a crooked idea and hid the key information of the mission from Konoha Shinobi, changing the task of rescuing villagers from ninjas to finding a villager to use. And the 3rd Hokage did not expect that in less than a month, someone dared to issue a mission with false information to Konoha. So after hearing that the purpose of the mission was to find someone, Although in other countries, it would not involve ninjas and other enemies. He thought of the 8th team, led by Yuhi Kurinai. After all, Inazuka Kiba's dog, Aburam Shino's bugs, Haiga Hinata's white eyes. The 8th team is good at reconnaissance, and such a C-class mission of finding people is just right for them. So this seemingly simple but actually dangerous task was assigned to Team 8 in advance. River country, in a valley. 5 people were moving quickly in the valley. In the front was a young man of about 26 or 27 years old. He was sweating profusely, his face was pale, and his eyes were full of fear. He looked very panicked. Behind him, a young man was chasing him relentlessly and approaching him quickly. The young man was wearing a Konoha Umbu uniform and a mask. He was very fast, faster than the young man who was running in front of him, and faster than the 3 teammates who were chasing him quickly behind him. Damn it, go to hell. As the distance between the 2 people quickly closed, the young man seemed to know that he could not escape. He stopped and turned around with a ferocious face and swung the blade in his hand fiercely at the boy who was already close to him. Puff! The sharp blade cut the young man's throat. Kamisato Tsukika turned his back to the young man and gently shook off the blood on the knife. His eyes were calm, and his handsome face under the mask was expressionless. Swish, swish, swish. Yuzuki Yugao and the other 2 landed on the ground, looking at the corpse lying on the ground and Kamisato Tsukika standing beside him calmly, without any fluctuations in their hearts. Don't look at the corpse in front of them as ordinary. Who would have thought that this was actually a genin? The mission is completed. Really, Wu and I acted too fast. He killed all 6 enemies by himself without waiting for us. This makes me feel very uninvolved. Yamai Hisashi complained. Their enemies this time are not only this guy in front of them, but 6 ninjas including this guy. In addition to this guy in front of them, there are 5 Chunin. However, of the 6 enemies, Yuzuki Yugao and his team didn't catch any of them. They were all killed by Kamisato Yuehua like cutting melons and vegetables. Isn't it because I'm afraid they will run away? So I killed them as soon as I saw them. Kamisato Yuehua smiled and spoke. Her face under the mask was sunny and cheerful, but what she said was killing and death. Kamisato Yuehua once thought that even if she was determined to kill people, it would be difficult for her to regard killing as normal. After all, people who grew up under the red flag and in the legal world have different views on human life from people in this world. But the fact is that Kamisato Yuehua thought too much, and killing too many people is no different from killing chickens. Sure enough, the living environment still has a great impact on a person. Completing the mission is more important. Yuzuki Yugao spoke. Although she was a little suffocated because she had no chance to take action during this period, as the captain of the 6th team, it was naturally impossible for her to say, leave a few people for us to kill. However, Yuzuki Yugao also knew that what Yamai Hisaji said was actually right. After all, if they can win every time they go on a mission, it is not good for them to not be able to take action, which makes people relax. Moreover, there is no chance to verify their practice. Just like the modified 3-moon dance she learned from Kamisato Yuehua, she has never had the opportunity to practice in practice. It's my fault. I ignored the strength of my companions and only thought about showing off my ability alone. I will change next time. Kamisato Yuehua took the initiative to speak. He is a real smart man. He thought of the key point with just one thought, so he expressed his opinion in person. Okay, don't worry too much about this kind of thing. Let's go back to the village to hand in the mission. Yuzuki Yugao waved her hand, and she admired Kamisato Yuehua even more. What a powerful, cute, and sensible brother. After sealing the body of the young man in the scroll, the 4 set off towards Konoha. However, not long after they walked out of the valley, they saw 5 figures appearing at the corner in the distance. Is that Hinata and the others? Before Yuzuki Yugao and the other 2 could see clearly who the person was, and before Yamai Hisaji could use ninjutsu to sense the other party's chakra, Kamisato Yuehua had already sensed Hinata's soul. Chapter 29, There's something wrong with that employer. Wu, do you know them? Kushiyamai asked doubtfully. He was used to the fact that Kamisato Yuehua could see other people faster. It was just a perception ninjutsu. It was a piece of cake for a super genius like Kamisato Tsukika. No matter what technique it was, whether it was ninjutsu, physical technique, or illusion technique, it would take 1 day to master it, 2 days to master it, and 3 days to innovate. Never doubt the learning ability of this kind of pervert. Well, Haiga Hinata, Inazuka Kiba, Aburame Shino, my classmates in the ninja school. Kushi Tsukika nodded, and Yuzuki Yugao also recognized Yuhi Kurinai in the distance. It turned out to be Yuhi Kurinai Sr. I didn't expect to meet them here. Captain, according to the rules, we seem to need to avoid them. Well, this damn place can't be avoided now. Kushiyama looked around and said, it was too empty here, and there was no way to avoid it. And the other party obviously saw them too. It's really unnecessary, and I guess they have recognized Wu's identity. Yuzuki Yugao glanced at Kamisato Tsukika and spoke. Just now, Kamisato Tsukika said that in addition to the names of Hinata and the other 3, Yuzuki Yugao knew that there was no need to deliberately hide this encounter. Inazuka clan, Aburame clan, Hyuga clan, it is a very stupid thing to hide in front of the ninjas of these 3 clans. Moreover, as a classmate who spends time with the 3 people day and night, Kamisato Tsukika's aura must have been detected by Inazuka Kiba and Aburame Shino, and the appearance under the mask must have been seen clearly by Haiga Hinata. Their Umbu masks do not have the function of blocking the sight of the white eyes. In the distance, the Yuhi Red class naturally saw Kamisato Tsukika and the other 4. And, as Yuzuki Yugao expected, Kamisato Tsukika's identity has been exposed. Hey Tsukika, long time no see. Hinata and the other 3 were very surprised to meet Kamisato Tsukika in the country of rivers. Inazuka Kiba couldn't help but speak loudly and waved to Kamisato Tsukika. This made Yuhi Kurinai, who had not had time to stop them, look helpless. She saw the attire of Kamisato Tsukika and the other 3 and knew that they were members of Umbu. Umbu members cannot reveal their identities when they are on a mission outside. Even if ordinary ninjas recognize Umbu members, they have to pretend not to know them. However, Yuhi Kurinai had not had time to tell Inazuka Kiba and the other 3 about this rule. After all, the 3 had just graduated 2 months ago and had previously performed D-level missions and had no contact with Umbu members. I didn't expect to meet them here by chance when I was on a mission abroad. After confirming that the other party was a ninja from the same village and not an enemy, the 2 sides quickly reunited. I haven't seen you for 2 months. I was wondering where you went. I didn't expect that Tsukika actually entered Umbu, and I didn't expect to meet you here. Inazuka Kiba spoke excitedly, his face full of curiosity. Yuhi Kurinai had just given the 3 of them a general knowledge of the village Umbu. Kamisato Tsukika heard this and glanced at Yuzuki Yugao. After the other party nodded slightly, he took off his mask and showed a sunny smile to the few people. Long time no see, Hinata, Kiba, Shino. Well, long time no see, Uehwa-kun. Hinata lowered her head, raised her hands slightly awkwardly, and spun her 2 index fingers in circles. 2 months. It can really be said that we haven't seen each other for a long time. Aburame Shino's voice came from the high collar, and he was wrapped in a coat, showing mystery. Meeting you here, it seems that you are going to perform a powerful mission. Come on. Kamisato Uehwa spoke, but it was just a polite remark, and she didn't mean to ask about their mission news. Ha ha ha. It's not very powerful, just an ordinary C-level mission. I heard that Naruto and his team completed an S-level mission in the Land of Waves before. They are really powerful. Inazuka Kiba spoke, his tone full of envy. That's an S-level mission. Jinin can complete that level of mission and can brag about it for the rest of his life. Hearing this, Kamisato Uehwa smiled. The Land of Waves mission, it's really nostalgic. I've heard that too. But I heard that they were also C-level at the beginning. It seems that they were upgraded later because their employer concealed very important information. Speaking of this, Kamisato Uehwa glanced at the employer who had been silent all the time, and then continued. Well, I wish you a smooth mission. We will go back to the village first. Kamiri Uehwa spoke, and then put on the mask again. Then, the 2 teams separated. After the separation, Kamisato Uehua also heard Inazuka Kiba jokingly asking the employer whether he had also concealed information and that they were going to perform an S-level mission, and the employer loudly said that he would not lie. After the two sides pulled away for a long distance until they could no longer see each other, Kamisato Uehua suddenly stopped. Huh? What's wrong, Wu? Yuzuki Yugao asked in confusion, not understanding why Kamisato Uehua suddenly stopped. I suspect that the employer of Team 8 lied. Kamiri Uehua spoke, which made the three people stunned, and then they all became serious. After we met just now, I felt that the employer was a little nervous. I think everyone else felt it. The three of them nodded when they heard this. He was indeed nervous, but this is normal. After all, we are not ordinary ninjas in our attire. It is normal for him, an ordinary person, to be nervous in front of us. Yamai Asaji spoke up. Just because Kamisato Tsukika was nervous, it could not prove that the employer was lying. Indeed, but when Yaba mentioned the Wave Country mission, he lowered his head. When I said that the Wave Country mission was upgraded because the employer hid information, he was very stiff and his eyes were erratic. Kamiri Tsukika thought of her observation just now. Even if it was just from a psychological point of view, Kamisato Tsukika could infer that the employer was definitely lying. The three of them were also solemn when they heard this. No inference makes sense. That employer has a lot of problems. Yuzuki Yugao spoke up. If what Kamisato Tsukika said was true, then indeed, the employer had problems. But we still have to go back to hand in the mission, and there are regulations that UMBU members cannot actively interfere with the actions of other ninjas. Ishikawa frowned. Although there is such a rule, if something unexpected happens to Team 8, I'm afraid. How about this? I'll follow Team 8, and you guys go to the village to hand in the mission. I'll be responsible if anything goes wrong. Kamiri Tsukika spoke up. He had a premonition that if he left like this, Team 8 would be in trouble. Chapter 30, Spirit No. Yuzuki Yugao rejected Kamisato Tsukika's proposal without even thinking about it. Ever since Kamisato Tsukika joined Team 6 and went on the first mission to protect the Hokage that night, Yuzuki Yugao had vaguely guessed Sarutobi Hiruzen's intention of putting Kamisato Tsukika in Team 6. In the following month, Yuzuki Yugao's guess was fully confirmed. Team 6 exists to help Kamisato Tsukika, a genius who is related to the future of Konoha, grow up safely. So how could Yuzuki Yugao feel at ease to let Kamisato Tsukika face the possible dangers alone? Captain, I know what you're worried about. I may not have so much experience in some things, but my strength is enough to make up for the gap in experience. Moreover, without the baptism and tempering of wind and rain, how can a small tree become a big tree that makes people feel at ease? I will have to face these dangers alone one day. Kamiri Tsukika looked at Yuzuki Yugao and said this seriously. This is not bravado. With his strength, there are very few people in this world who can really threaten him. Besides the hidden Tsutsuki Ishiki, the sage of 6 paths souls who were not sure if they were secretly observing the ninja world, and the Tsutsuki Kagaya, who was sealed in the sky. Even if Kamisato Tsukika couldn't beat them, the others could still escape unscathed. Don't forget that Kamisato Tsukika still had the trump card of Flying Thunder God technique in her hand. Yuzuki Yugao was silent. Kamisato Tsukika's words made her suddenly realize that with Kamisato Tsukika's strength, they didn't need to protect her. The reason why she was so worried about Kamisato Tsukika alone and still regarded herself as a guardian was probably not to help Kamisato Tsukika deal with stronger enemies at the critical moment. But if Kamisato Tsukika faced a situation where someone had to sacrifice to escape, they would take the initiative to sacrifice for Kamisato Tsukika and save her life with their lives. Otherwise, if the 3 guardians were really in danger, they would probably become a burden instead. After all, their strength is only at the level of ordinary Jinin, not even at the level of elite Jinin. And Kamisato Tsukika has already killed elite Jinin and Jinin many times. The only advantage they have over Kamisato Tsukika may be experience. But ask yourself, are their experience really richer than Kamisato Tsukika? Don't forget that Kamisato Tsukika is a true genius an all-round genius. Their so-called rich experience is just that they have been ninjas for more time than Kamisato Tsukika. Thinking of this, Yuzuki Yugao made a decision in her heart. I understand. Let's do this. Inu and Yama, you go back to the village to report, and Wu and I will follow the 8th team. She spoke and agreed to Kamisato Tsukika's proposal. However, she also wanted to go with Kamisato Tsukika. This, Yamai Hisagi didn't expect Yuzuki Yugao to say this, and wanted to say something, but was interrupted by Ishikawa Ida. Trust the captain and Wu. Okay, then be careful, captain. After Sean and I finish the mission, we will rush over to meet you as soon as possible. After saying this, Yamai Hisashi and Ishida left quickly, and their speed of leaving was obviously much faster. What are you going to do next? After Yamai Hisagi and Ishina Ida left, Yuzuki Yugao asked Kamisato Uehwa. Kamisato Uehwa thought for a moment and then answered, according to the village's rules, we cannot directly interfere with other ninjas' missions. If we interrogate the employer, whether he has concealed the information or not, the news of interrogating the employer will affect Konoha's reputation. It is a good choice to follow the 8th team to adapt to the situation, but it is quite difficult. After all, the 8th team's best ability is reconnaissance and perception, so we can go ahead and go to their destination in advance to see if there are any threats and safety hazards, and then decide on the next plan based on the information we have investigated. After Kamisato Uehwa finished speaking, Yuzuki Yugao nodded, but then he continued, your idea is good, but we don't know the mission information of the 8th team. How can you go to their destination in advance without contacting them? Hearing this, Kamisato Uehwa smiled confidently. Leave this to me. I have a way to figure out their purpose. But it has to be at night, Shinri Uehwa said as she looked at the sun in the sky. It was already afternoon, and it would set soon. Okay, let's wait until night. Mizuki Yugao spoke up. She didn't ask what Kamisato Uehwa's method was, but she believed that since Kamisato Uehwa said so, she would definitely be able to do it. This idea was established by Mao Yugeo in that month when she was hit hard, and it has been deeply rooted. After making the decision, the two found a cool place to rest. But soon, Mao Yugeo stood up and said to Kamisato Uehwa, you are idle anyway. Why don't we discuss swordsmanship? The swordsmanship concepts you proposed before are very interesting. I have gained a lot after serious understanding. It's just right to experiment. Okay, let's learn from each other and make progress together. Shinri Uehwa stood up with a smile and agreed to Mao Yugeo's proposal. In fact, with Yuzuki Yugao's current swordsmanship, it would not be able to play any role in learning from Kamisato Uehwa, and the learning between the two would become a one-sided teaching. But Kamisato Uehwa still happily agreed. After all, this is a big sister with a divine face. Who cannot like a big sister? Just like teacher Yui Hong. Swish! Under the setting sun, a man and a woman began to learn swordsmanship. Time passed, and it was soon night. When it was midnight, Kamisato Uehwa sat cross-legged in the cave, and at the entrance of the cave was Yuzuki Yugao, who stood guard to protect his safety. Feeling the soul in the distance, Kamisato Uehwa closed his eyes. Spiritualization Technique. The next moment, the spirit flew out of Kamisato Uehwa's body, soared into the sky, and flew towards the direction of the distant teammate. And Yuzuki Yugao, outside the cave entrance, knew nothing about it. After all, although Kamisato Uehwa has not been able to improve the spiritualization technique into the divine technique, he is not without gain. Kamisato Uehwa's spiritualization technique allows the spirit to be silent and invisible, or appear to be no different from an ordinary person. Chapter 31. Planet was late at night, the moon was bright in the sky, and the stars were twinkling. As soon as they came out of the cave, Hinata and the other two and their employer were already asleep, and Kurenai Yuhi was sitting by the bonfire at the entrance of the cave, protecting their safety. Kamisato Uehwa had long been familiar with Hinata's soul. He used the spiritualization technique and quickly came here, ignoring the mountain and entering the cave directly from above. After taking a look at the surrounding environment and taking a look at Hinata, who looked cute and well-behaved even when she was sleeping, Kamisato Yuawa's spirit directly locked onto the employer and entered the employer's consciousness. This is the spiritualization technique, which can sense the souls of other people regardless of distance, and can also transform into a spirit and enter the body and spiritual world of the other party. Of course, the function of the spiritualization technique is more than that. After possessing others, the user's thoughts can also directly kill the other party or control the other party to do many things for themselves, such as passing on information. After entering the employer's spiritual world, Kamisato Yuehua saw a lot of strange pictures at once. This employer is actually having an erotic dream. Kamiri Yuehua was speechless and then went directly to the deeper part of the employer's consciousness to find key and useful information. Not long after, Kamisato Yuehua found what she wanted. It's really as expected. This guy concealed the key information. Kuroki Raiga, one of the 7 ninja swordsmen, the user of Thunder Bladia, the strength of elite Jinin. After reading the information in the employer's mind, Kamisato Yuehua muttered to herself, with a cold light flashing in her eyes. This guy, damn it. If it weren't for him noticing something wrong and taking the initiative to investigate this matter, the 8th team would probably be in danger on this trip to the Osamu Golden Mountain. After all, Yuhi Kurenai is not Hatake Kakashi. She is just an illusion-type elite Jinin, and her ability is more inclined to support. With Hinata and the other 3, Yuhi Kurenai is definitely not the opponent of Kuroki Raiga. At that time, if they were decisive enough and evacuated as soon as they found something wrong, perhaps everyone in Team 8 could escape unscathed. If a fight really broke out, the best outcome would be that Kurenai Yuhi sacrificed herself to hold back Kuroki Raiga, allowing Hinata and the other 2 to escape. The worst possibility would naturally be that Team 8 would be completely wiped out. The employer's idea of rescuing the villagers is understandable, but using lies to bring others into danger is simply unforgivable. Resisting the idea of killing the employer directly, Kamisato Yuehua's spirit soared into the sky and flew towards his body. Not long after, he returned to his body. I figured it out. In the cave, Kamisato Yuehua opened his eyes and spoke to Yuzuki Yugao. That guy did conceal the information. His real purpose was not to look for the lost people in the Osamu Golden Mountain, but to take the ninjas of Konoha to the Osamu Golden Mountain to rescue the villagers who were oppressed by other ninjas there. As soon as Kamisato Yuehua said this, Yuzuki Yugao's face became ugly. Let's go find Team 8 and confront that guy. Yuzuki Yugao opened her mouth and was about to leave. However, Kamisato Yuehua stopped her. Captain, if we tell Team 8 the news, although Team 8 will believe us, how will they handle this mission? After all, this is just our one-sided statement, and so far Team 8 has not encountered any situation beyond the scope of their mission. As long as the employer denies it, then it will be our Konoha who has taken the initiative to breach the contract and terminate the mission. After hearing what Kamisato Tsukika said, Yuzuki Yugao frowned. This is indeed the case. Although the employer's real purpose is not to find someone, there has indeed been no incident that exceeds the scope of the mission. Unless the employer admits that his purpose is something else, it is impossible to say that others are wrong. Of course, as a ninja, you can also use some extraordinary means to interrogate the employer, but in this case, unless you kill the employer, you will face the risk of being complained by the employer, and this is related to the reputation of Konoha. So, I think we can tell the captain of Team 8 about the situation first, and accompany them to the Osamu Gold Mountain. If there is no conflict with the ninjas there during the mission, then Team 8 will successfully complete the commission. Once there is a conflict with the ninjas there, we have a legitimate reason to cancel the mission. And even if there is a conflict with the ninjas there, the 2 of us plus Yuhi Kurenai Jinin are enough to ensure that everyone can get out of it safely. Kamiri Tsukika said her plan. After knowing that she might face Kuroki Raiga this time, Kamisato Tsukika already had a bottom line in her heart. Although the opponent is an elite Jinin, it is difficult for a ninja of this strength to pose a threat to Kamisato Tsukika. And knowing Kuroki Raiga's ability, Kuroki Raiga is even less likely to be Kamisato Tsukika's opponent, and it can be said that there is no threat. On the contrary, such an elite Junin is actually a good challenge and test for both Yuhi Kurenai and Yuzuki Yugao. Once they pass this challenge and test, they will surely grow a lot. As for not passing the challenge and test, if it weren't for Kamisato Tsukika, the consequences would probably be very serious, either death or injury. But with Kamisato Tsukika as a backup, there is no need to worry about the consequences. Of course, Kamisato Tsukika is still interested in the abilities of Kuroki Raiga and Ranmaru, especially Ranmaru's bloodline limit red eyes, which seems to be more useful than the white eyes. Although Kamisato Tsukika herself can't use it, she can use it for research. Okay, let's do as you say. Yuzuki Yugao agreed with Kamisato Tsukika's idea, and then the two of them set off directly in the direction of Team 8. Not long after, the two arrived at the temporary base of Team 8. And because Kamisato Tsukika and Yuzuki Yugao did not hide, they attracted the attention of Yuhi Kurenai as soon as they landed. In the cave, Yuhi Kurenai subconsciously took a defensive posture and was about to open her mouth to wake Hinata and the others. "Don't worry, it's us." Yuzuki Yugao spoke softly and took off her mask at the same time. "Senior Hong." Seeing that the person coming was Yuzuki Yugao, Yuhi Hong breathed a sigh of relief. "Yugao, why are you back again?" Yuhi Hong asked curiously, puzzled. "Let me tell you, Senior Yuhi Hong, this is what happened. When we parted last time, I found out that your employer, Kamiri Wehua, took the initiative to come out and whispered to Yuhi Hong what happened." Chapter 32. Sunegakure's Puppet Master, this guy. After listening to Kamisato Tsukika's story, Yuhi Kurenai's face also turned ugly. She believed that Kamisato Tsukika and Yuzuki Yugao would not use such things to deceive her. Therefore, this employer is really unforgivable. Thinking of her three disciples being in trouble, Yuhi Kurenai was afraid, not only because these three people are her disciples, but also because of their identities. The young master of the Inazuka clan, the young master of the Aburame clan, and the eldest lady of the Hyuga clan. If they were in trouble, Konoha would be shocked. "Just do as you said. We will carry out the mission normally first. Once the mission content exceeds the scope of the mission, I will make this guy pay the price." Yuhi Kurenai coldly glanced at the employer who was sleeping soundly, with a cold light flashing in her eyes. An ordinary person almost put them in danger, which is really unforgivable. "Okay, then Wu and I will be with you in secret." After that, Yuzuki Yugao and Kamisato Tsukika used the body flicker technique to leave, and Kurenai also calmed down and returned to the cave. Then Kurenai saw Haiga Hinata with her eyes wide open. Obviously, although the movement of the three people just now was small, it still woke Hinata up. "Teacher Kurenai." Hinata lowered her head and spoke. Just after waking up, she used the Byakugan and saw Kamisato Tsukika and Yuzuki Yugao outside. "Shino is awake too. Wake up, Kiba. I'll tell you something." Kurenai nodded to Hinata and then spoke to Aburame Shino, who was lying on the ground. Hearing this, Aburame Shino stood up. He was indeed awake. When Kamisato Tsukika and Yuzuki Yugao appeared, his bug woke him up. Only Kiba Inazuka and Akainu, one person and one dog, were still sleeping soundly and had no idea what was going on. Soon, Kiba Inazuka was woken up by Aburame Shino. Then, Kurenai told the three that Kamisato Tsukika and Yuzuki Yugao had other tasks and would follow Team 8, and asked the three not to expose their existence to the employer. Kurenai did not tell the three the truth of the matter. She wanted to see if the three could find the problem themselves. Even if they could not find it, it did not matter. When the problem was exposed, this matter would be a vivid lesson for the three. One night passed like this, and the next day came soon. Team 8 and the employer continued to set off towards the Osamu Golden Mountain. Kurenai did not show any difference along the way, but the employer still felt that this beautiful Konoha Junin seemed to be a little more indifferent. However, he did not doubt anything. After all, this beautiful Junin had been very cold along the way, and it was normal to be a little colder now. In the river country, near the direction of the wind country, A team of ninjas was also heading towards the Osamu Golden Mountain. There are not many ninjas in this team, only 4. They were wearing the same uniform and masks. Obviously, they were Umbu members, but they were not Umbu members of Konoha, but Umbu members of Sunagakure. Captain, we still have 1 day to go to the Osamu Gold Mountain. During a short break, an Umbu member took out a map and spoke to the captain of the Umbu team. The captain's name was Sunakase, a Jnin, and he belonged to Sunagakure Umbu and was the captain of the 2nd squad of Sunagakure Umbu. Although Sunakase was only a Jnin, he was able to become the captain of Umbu, which obviously made him different from other ordinary Jnin. And that difference was that Sunakase was a puppeteer. His methods were more insidious and difficult to defend than those of ordinary Jnin. Sunakase's brilliant record was that he had once killed an elite Jnin. It could be said that Sunakase's method of using poison has reached the level of elite Jnin. Just like if a Jnin has a special ability that reaches the level of a Jnin, he can be promoted to a special Jnin. If there is such a thing as a special elite Jnin, Sunagakure will definitely be a special elite Jnin. But unfortunately, there is no such thing as a special elite Jnin in the world of ninja. Looking at the Osamu Gold Mine on the map, Sunagakure's eyes were deep. Osamu Gold Mine. This place is located in the hinterland of the river country, but compared to the wind country, Osamu Gold Mine is closer to the direction of the fire country. If it were normal times, such a place would obviously not be within Sunagakure's sight, even if there was a mine there. After all, it is some distance away from the wind country. Even if the wind country temporarily controls the Osamu Gold Mine, it will soon be taken back by the river country. But this time, their mission is indeed to explore the situation of the Osamu Gold Mine, and if there is a chance, it is best to directly take control of the Osamu Gold Mine. The reason for doing this is because Sunagakure knows that Sunagakure is going to fight, although it has not been completely settled. As the squad leader of Umbu, Sunakase knows very well that the 4th Kazekage has basically agreed to the cooperation of Otogakure and to raid Konoha village together during the Chunin exam. This is the biggest secret of Sunagakure now. Few people in the entire Sunagakure know about this, either elite Jnin or the heads of various ninja clans. If it weren't for being in this special department of Umbu and being a squad leader, Sunakase would not be qualified to know this. It is precisely because Sunagakure is about to start a war that they are eyeing the Osamu Gold Mine. Not only the Osamu Gold Mine, but many mines and resources in the river country have been targeted. When Sunagakure and Konoha go to war, regardless of whether they win or lose this battle, these resources will be taken away by Sunagakure. It's just a different way. If they win this battle, then the Kingdom of Rivers will become Sunagakure's backyard, and Konoha, which is busy with its own affairs, can only watch Sunagakure's activities in the Kingdom of Rivers. If they lose this battle, then Sunagakure will plunder all these resources at the fastest speed before the Kingdom of Rivers can react, leaving the Kingdom of Rivers and the Kingdom of Fire staring blankly. After all, the environment of the Kingdom of Winds determines that even if Sunagakure loses, he does not have to worry about being chased back to his hometown. Even if the opponent is really determined to go deep into the desert, Sunagakure can only go to a farther desert. Wherever you are, your home is there. Deserts are the same all over the world. On the contrary, the opponent will get nothing but venting his anger after going deep into the desert and will suffer a direct loss. The so-called barefoot is not afraid of those wearing shoes, which is nothing more than this. Rest for one night and continue on the road at 6 o'clock tomorrow morning. Chapter 33. Moral Kidnapping? Another night passed, and no accidents happened along the way. Team 8 arrived at Osamu Golden Mountain smoothly. This is a village that looks neither big nor small, but there is something wrong with the people in the village. First of all, there are almost no young and middle-aged men here. They are all women, children, and the elderly, which is obviously not in line with the population structure of a village. Secondly, the way the people in this village look at Yuhi Kurenai and others. Their eyes are cautious. When they see Yuhi Kurenai and others Konoha forehead protectors, there will be complex emotions of fear and expectation in their eyes. Such eyes clearly show that things like ninja forehead protectors, or ninjas, have left them with a very deep impression. For the eyes of these villagers, Hinata and others may just be a little curious in their hearts, and they will not think too much about it. But as an elite ninja, combined with the information given to Yuhi Kurenai by Kamisato Tsukika, Yuhi Kurenai knows very well what their eyes mean. Brother Aosuke, you are finally back. Is this the reinforcement you found? Can they really defeat that guy? On the way to their employer, Aosuke's house, a little boy ran out of a house nearby and spoke loudly. His tone was very excited. But it seemed that he saw that Hinata and the other four were not very powerful, so his tone was worried. However, after the little boy finished speaking, Aosuke's face changed. Goro, go play first. I will take the ninjas to eat first. Aosuke pushed the little boy away and spoke, and immediately changed the subject and continued. Speaking of which, we have a lot of special things here, and the ninjas must not have tried them. I will take you to try them. However, before he finished speaking, he was interrupted by Aosuke. I think I need an explanation. Saving people and defeating a guy seems to be a little different from our mission content. After speaking, Aosuke's beautiful ruby-like eyes stared at Aosuke calmly. When Aosuke was stared at by these eyes, he was already guilty and sweat broke out on his head. Yuhi Jinin, please don't take the child's nonsense seriously. I asked you to come here just to find my lost brother, and nothing else was involved. Aosuke's eyes flickered, but he still explained with a stiff upper lip. Even at this point, he still had no intention of telling the truth. This made Yuhi Kurenai even angrier, but Yuhi Kurenai also knew that it was not the time to get angry. According to the content of the task issued by Mr. Aosuke, your lost brother is in the valley behind the village, and there is no danger in that valley except wild beasts. Then I will go to investigate. If the facts are as you said, we will wholeheartedly help you find your brother and complete your mission commission. But if there's an unexpected situation there, and there are enemies or ninjas other than wild beasts, then Mr. Aosuke, we not only have the right to voluntarily give up the task, but also the commission you paid in advance will be reasonably collected by Konoha. Kurenai Yuhi spoke coldly. Since Aosuke was so stubborn, let's just use facts to speak. When the time comes, the evidence will be irrefutable, and it will be completely in line with the rules for them to give up the mission. When Aosuke heard Kurenai Yuhi say this, his face turned pale, and cold sweat broke out on his head. He stuttered, feeling the oppression brought by Kurenai Yuhi, and his whole heart was in a panic, and regret surged in his heart. But thinking of the situation in the village, thinking of the oppressed villagers, and thinking of those who were killed, Aosuke's regret quickly dissipated. He knelt down with a bang, knocked his head heavily on the ground, and spoke loudly in a crying voice. Jinin Yuhi, please save Osamu Kaneyama. The sudden change made the little boy and Hinata unable to react for a while, and only Kurenai Yuhi's eyes became colder. Osamu Kaneyama Yamamoto is a happy and peaceful village. We have lived here for generations and made our living by mining in the mine behind the village. But the Black Autumn family led people to occupy the mine and asked the people in the village to mine for them for free. If it didn't go, they would be beaten to death. If it was just mining, it would be fine, but the Black Autumn family didn't treat us as human beings at all. They made us work in a mine for more than 10 hours a day before letting us go home. Because of working too long, people who returned home no longer had the energy to do other farm work, and the Black Autumn family didn't pay us, causing many of our families to gradually not even have food to eat, and some old people in the village have starved to death. Not only the elderly, but those of us who went to mine were also too tired every day and didn't have enough food to eat. We couldn't complete the mining tasks arranged by the Black Autumn family, and were the Black Autumn family punished and beat him to death. Goro's father died under the punishment of the Black Autumn family. He was only 6 years old and lost his father at the age of 6. If this continues, the entire Osamu Gold Mountain will be completely destroyed in a short time. I finally escaped from the Black Autumn family and wanted to ask the ninja to help us beat the Black Autumn family. But the commission required is too much. I really have no other choice, and I will issue a false commission after hearing about the incident of Dasna in the Wave Country. I don't ask you to forgive me. I just ask you to save the village and the people here. Goro, come here quickly. Come here and beg the ninja master. Beg him to save the village and the people here. Aosuke burst into tears and said that he drove the little boy Goro, who was also crying over, and knelt on the ground together, kneeling in front of Yuhi Kurenai. This movement also attracted the attention of others. After seeing that Aosuke and Goro both knelt in front of Yuhi Kurenai to beg her, the villagers came up one by one, crying and kneeling down to beg. Ninja-sama, please, please save our Ainen. Please, big sister, save daddy. Woo, I miss daddy. Please, Ninja-sama, I haven't seen my husband for more than a month. He was much thinner when he came back last time, and there were many scars on his body. He must be suffering. Please save him. Ninja-sama, if the money Sisu gives you is not enough, we can give you other things. We can give you anything you want. We just ask you to save us, because we are so pitiful. Woo-woo, daddy, I want daddy woo-woo. Soon, more than a dozen people knelt in front of Yuhi, Kurenai Hinata, and others, crying and begging. Chapter 34. The man was killed, and the woman, looking at the people kneeling and crying in front of them, Hinata, Kiba, and Shino were all at a loss. After all, they were only 12 years old, less than 13 years old, and had only been ninjas for more than 2 months. They were not experienced in the world and had not accumulated enough experience. So when they heard people's wailing, they couldn't help but feel compassion. Teacher Hong. Hinata spoke softly, but stopped here. Although she sympathized with these people in her heart, Hinata didn't want to embarrass Yuhi Kurenai, so she suppressed her inner impulse. Inazuka Kiba and Aburame Shino also looked at Yuhi Kurenai, waiting for Yuhi Kurenai's decision. In fact, Inazuka Kiba wanted to say to these people loudly, "Leave it to me." But when he saw Yuhi Kurenai's face was a little ugly, he still resisted the urge to say so. He could only hope in his heart that Yuhi Kurenai would choose to help these people. However, Yuhi Kurenai only felt a headache at this time. Although she is already an experienced ninja, to be honest, this is the first time she has encountered such a situation. It would be a lie to say that she doesn't sympathize with these people. Everyone has a soft spot in their heart. But if she decides to help these people directly, Kurenai will never make a decision so easily. Although she sympathizes with these people, she needs to be more responsible for her own actions and for her 3 disciples. There is obviously danger here. The Black Autumn family obviously also has ninjas, which has exceeded the scope of the mission. Although she doesn't know what the strength of the ninjas of the Black Autumn family is, Kurenai doesn't want to take this risk. So she hardened her heart. Her face remained unchanged, and she was ready to directly refuse to help, take the initiative to cancel the mission, and lead the team back to the village. This may seem inhumane, but compared to the people in front of her, Hinata and the other 2 are more important in Kurenai's heart. Moreover, she doesn't like the feeling of being morally kidnapped. Kingsu's behavior makes Kurenai feel disgusted and angry. After making a decision in her heart, Kurenai no longer hesitated and was about to speak. However, before Kurenai spoke, an arrogant voice appeared first. "Hey, isn't that Aosuke? How dare you come back?" After this voice sounded, the people kneeling on the ground froze. They recognized this voice, and this voice seemed to have brought them a very bad experience. So they got up in a panic, without even looking at the man, and hurriedly ran away. In a blink of an eye, only Team 8, Aosuke, and the little boy named Goro were left here. This sudden scattering surprised Hinata and the other 2. And Yuhi Kurenai looked normal. She looked over and saw more than a dozen people walking towards them not far away. These people were all young and strong men in their 20s and 30s. They were wearing the clothes of wandering samurai, but they were loose. Holding knives, forks, sticks, and clubs in their hands, they looked ferocious. The one who spoke just now was the leader of this group of people. It was a man in his 30s, with a samurai sword on his shoulders in both hands. There was a long scar on his face, and he looked like a man of many years old. Don't think that finding a few ninjas anywhere can save you. Aosuke, you are too naive. Today I will let you know what true despair is. Scarface looked at Aosuke, who had stood up and looked pale with disdain. Then he looked at Hinata and the other 2, and finally stopped his gaze on Kurenai. This delicate and beautiful face, this graceful and enchanting figure, this cold and charming temperament. Scarface's lower abdomen was hot, and his breathing became heavier. And the girl next to him, although she was still a young girl, this kind of girl also had a different taste. In Scarface's mind, he had begun to imagine some indescribable pictures. And when Kurenai saw the look in the eyes of the Scarface looking at her, she knew what he was thinking without guessing. This made Kurenai's eyes even colder. But she still didn't get angry. She had seen this kind of look too many times, and leaving here was the most important thing now. "Hey Q Idao, you. How come you are here?" King Zhu stuttered, his eyes full of fear, looking at the scar Hey Q Idao as if he saw a devil. "How come I am here? Ha ha, of course someone told me. From the moment you appeared in the Oxalis Golden Mountain, the person you wanted to save couldn't wait to tell us your whereabouts. Didn't expect this to happen? Did you really want to know who the informer is? Ha ha ha, I just won't tell you. When you go to hell, go ask Shinigami. Hei Q Idao spoke sinisterdi, reveling a ferocious grin." And these words made King Zhu's face paler. Being betrayed by his own people is a big blow to people. But what makes King Zhu even more desperate is that it is obvious that Hei Q Idao is no longer going to let him go. If no one saves him next, he will die, and die miserably. "Save me, please save me, please save this village." Asa cried and begged for help from Yuhi Kurenai. If he was acting when he knelt down to beg just now, then at this moment, Aesuk was absolutely sincere. It must be said that Aesuk was very lucky. His request for help was really a blessing in disguise. It's not that Yuhi Kurenai decided to help Aesuk. Aesuk's life or death had no effect on Yuhi Kurenai, and it would only make Yuhi Kurenai feel happy. The reason why Aesuk was a blessing in disguise was that Aesuk was too scared and too anxious to add the name Yuhi Jnin to this request for help. If he added this name, then Heikyu Idao would definitely be afraid after hearing it, and would definitely avoid conflict with Yuhi Kurenai, allowing Yuhi Kurenai to leave smoothly with teammate. However, it was precisely because Aesuk did not bring the name Yuhi Jnin that Heikyu Idao made a serious misjudgment. After all, in Heikyu Idao's heart, even if a poor guy like King Zhu took all the money that the village of Osamu Jinshan could bring, the ninja he could hire would at most be at the level of Chunin. And he didn't take Chunin seriously. Although he himself was not a ninja, he was also a powerful samurai. It was no problem to deal with a Chunin. Even if the 5 Kage came today, they couldn't save you, King Zhu. Heikyu Idao spoke sternly, and he had already drawn his samurai sword, looking at King Zhu fiercely. In King Zhu's terrified eyes, Heikyu Idao spoke again loudly. "I'll deal with this big beauty and leave the 3 little ones to you. You can kill the men, but keep the little beauty for lousy." After speaking, he rushed towards Zihi Kurenai. Chapter 35. Kamisato Uehua takes action. Kuroki Ito is very smart. He knows that the advantage of ninjas is ninjutsu, while the advantage of samurai is close combat. So after deciding to attack, Kuroki Ito rushed towards Yuhi Kurenai at the fastest speed, not giving Yuhi Kurenai the opportunity to seal and perform ninjutsu. Indeed, Kuroki Ito succeeded, because he did not expect Kuroki Ito to be so fast and arrive in front of him in a blink of an eye. Yuhi Kurenai could only take out the kunai and fight with Kuroki Ito. Ding 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 ding. The two kept fighting, and the kunai and samurai sword collided with sparks, and the crisp ding-ding sound became more and more urgent. In fact, the duel between Yuhi Kurenai and Kuroki Ito was not an easy thing for Yuhi Kurenai. After all, although Yuhi Kurenai is an elite Jnin, she is good at illusions and is an illusion ninja, not good at close combat. If it were just that, it would be fine. The most important thing is that Kuroki Ito has no chakra, and Yuhi Kurenai's illusions are more targeted at ninjas rather than ordinary people. In addition, Kuroki Ito is a samurai, and his will is stronger than that of ordinary people. So, strictly speaking, Kuroki Ito is restraining Yuhi Kurenai. But this has little impact because no matter how bad Yuhi Kurenai is at close combat, her close combat ability is stronger than Kuroki Ito. After all, she is an elite Jnin. Puff! After just a few seconds of fighting, Kuroki Ito's arm was scratched by Yuhi Kurenai's kunai. This made Kuroki Ito's face change drastically. He looked at Yuhi Kurenai in horror and realized that he had kicked the iron plate. The woman in front of him, who he regarded as a bag of things, was definitely not Shinin. At least she was a Jinin. Damn, King Zhu, that BD actually invited Jinin. Cursing inwardly, "Hey, cute, eat Dao," he said loudly. "Hurry up and get rid of those 3 little devils and come to help. Otherwise, everyone will die." As soon as these words came out, the warriors who surrounded Hinata and the other 2, but were only attacking tentatively, also realized the seriousness of the situation and immediately rushed towards Hinata and the other 2 with roars. The strength of these more than 10 warriors was not strong. Only 4 or 5 of them were genin, and the others were just bullying ordinary people with brute force. But after all, they still had 5 warriors with genin strength, and their number was 5 times that of Hinata and the other 2. At this time, they went all out, making Hinata and the other 2 a little flustered for a while. Even though Hinata and the other 3 kept fighting back these thugs, their situation looked very dangerous. This made Yuhi Kurenai anxious, and she acted faster, wanting to quickly get rid of Hei Q E Dao to support Hinata and the others. But soon, Yuhi Kurenai was relieved, because Kamisato Uehua and Yuzuki Yugao, who were hiding in the dark, took action. Kamisato Uehua's target was the crowd surrounding Hinata and the other 2. After he appeared from the corner of a house, he burst into the crowd at a speed that the thugs could not react to. Puff, 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 puff. Blurry figures flashed in the crowd amidst the flashes of swords and sabers. In just a few seconds, more than a dozen thugs fell to the ground. Some had lost consciousness, some groaned in pain, but no one was left standing. "It's okay, I'm here." After dealing with all the thugs, Kamisato Uehua stood in front of Hinata and the other 2 and spoke, and then took off his mask. "Uehua-kun." Looking at the smiling boy in front of him, Hinata seemed to be steaming. "Good, so amazing." Inuzuka Kiba opened his eyes wide and spoke, shocked by the strength that Kamisato Tsukika had just shown. Although Kamisato Tsukika was also very powerful in the ninja school, she was a genius on par with Uchiha Sasuke and was the top student of their class. But Kamisato Tsukika in the ninja school was not so powerful. Originally, after 2 months of training, Inuzuka Kiba's strength increased greatly, and he was thinking that he might catch up with Kamisato Tsukika. Unexpectedly, not only did he not narrow the gap between the 2, but the gap was widened by Kamisato Tsukika. Sure enough, being able to enter Umbu proves that Tsukika's strength is not on the same level as ours. But I'm still shocked. Aburame Shino also spoke, but his tone of voice was calm, without any emotional fluctuations, and it was hard to tell that he was praising him. "It's okay. The captain and the others have also been dealt with. Let's go over." Kamiri Tsukika spoke, and on the other side, after Yuzuki Yugao joined, Heikyu Idao was also solved in a few moves. "Thank you. Thank you for saving me." After several people stood together, King Zhu, who had just taken advantage of the chaos, also emerged again and thanked everyone with a grateful face. "We are not saving you." Shuri Hong looked at King Zhu coldly and spoke in a cold voice. Yes. Anyway, thank you. If it weren't for you, I would have died just now." After King Zhu finished speaking, he looked at the expressionless people and was panicked. He had seen the answer from Xiao Rihong's eyes. The other party could not continue the mission at all. The next step must be to cancel the mission. This made King Zhu a little discouraged and full of reluctance. It has obviously come to this point. They're so powerful. As long as they are willing to take action, the village can be saved and everyone can be happy again. I think you know the reason better than us, so I don't want to say more nonsense. The mission ends here. Xiao Rihong spoke in a cold voice. She is not the kind of soft-hearted person. In this world, people who have no ability but overflowing with sympathy are destined not to live too long. I know. Aesuk was dejected when he heard this, and he seemed to have lost all his strength. He knew that everything was over. He was finished, and the village of Osamu Kaneyama was finished. Yuhi Kurenai nodded, and then she was about to take everyone away. This matter ended here. However, at this moment, Goro ran out again. He knelt in front of everyone, and then kowtowed continuously. Please save everyone. Goro only said this, and blood soon came out of his head. Looking at the crying and begging child in front of him, everyone was silent, with mixed feelings. Inuzuka Kiba clenched his fists, feeling a breath of air in his chest. Hinata frowned, her eyes full of pity. She couldn't help but look up at Yuhi Kurenai, wanting to say something but stopping. Aburame Shino wrapped himself tightly, so he couldn't see his expression now. But even through the sunglasses, he could tell that he was staring at Yuhi Kurenai. After all, Hinata and the other three were just teenagers after all. A young man whose heart has not yet given in to the darkness. Chapter 36, Thunderblade, Black Hoe, and Thunderfawn. Looking at the expectant and nervous expressions in the eyes of the disciples, Yuhi Kurenai fell silent. It seemed that her three disciples had different ideas from her. But Yuhi Kurenai could understand the ideas of her disciples. After all, wasn't she like this when she was young? Glancing at Yuzuki Yugao and Kamisato Tsukika next to her, Yuhi Kurenai sighed inwardly and breathed a sigh of relief. I really can't do anything about you, she muttered to herself. Then, she looked at King Zhu coldly. Take us to the mining area. As soon as these words came out, the eyes of Inuzuka Kiba and the other two lit up. King Zhu was stunned, with an unbelievable look on his face, wondering if he had hallucinations. He had already given up just now, and his whole heart had changed from being full of expectations to being gloomy. Just like the weather now. What awaits him will be a terrible thunderstorm, and he will perish in the thunderstorm like a paper kite. However, a miracle seems to have happened. Okay. King Suk came back to his senses and spoke with a look of surprise, his body trembling with excitement. He really didn't expect that there would be a sudden turn of events. Ozakusa Golden Mountain, there is a rescue again. Yuzuki Yugao and Kamisato Tsukika won't say anything about Yuhi Kurenai's decision. Yuzuki Yugao just pulled Goro up. I'll treat him first. As she said that, Yuzuki Yugao used medical ninjutsu on Goro. She is not only a swordsman, but also a medical ninja. Soon, Goro's forehead, which had just been broken, recovered. After letting Goro go home by himself, the group followed King Suk and left for the mine controlled by the Kuroki family. As for the bodies of Kuroki Ichideo and the Kuroki family's thugs on the ground, they will deal with them after this matter is resolved. And not long after Kamisato Tsukika and others left, another group of uninvited guests arrived. After Sand Wind arrived with his Umbu team, they saw the bodies on the ground when they entered Ozakusa Golden Mountain. After confirming that the bodies were not dangerous, several people came to the bodies. Captain, they died 20 minutes ago. Judging from their wounds, they all died from swords. After some observation, Sunagakure Umbu spoke to Sunagakure. Are there no signs of ninjutsu? Sunagakure asked. This is the most important thing. No, there are no signs of ninjutsu here. The Umbu spoke, but what he said was right. After all, in the previous battle, Kamisato Tsukika and Yuzuki Yugao both used samurai swords, and Yuhi Kurenai used kunai. Hinata used the Hyuga clan's physical skills. Inuzuka Kiba also used physical skills, and only Aburame Shino used ninjutsu. But it was also the Aburame family's secret technique of controlling insects, and the insects attack people. Keep moving forward. Without dwelling too much on why there were so many dead people here, Sunagakure ordered to continue heading towards the mining area of Osamu Gold Mine. That was their goal. Osamu Gold Mine. Kamisato Iwahua and her group arrived. In fact, the mining area is not far from the village. The reason why it took more than 20 minutes to get there is because of the ordinary person King Zhu. The people in front stop. This is the mining area of the Kuroki family. At the gate of the mining area, the sentry who saw Kamisato Iwahua and her group spoke loudly with a fierce look on his face. However, this fierce sentry was directly ignored by everyone, and Yuhi Kurenai spoke to everyone. According to our plan just now, we will try to rescue those trapped people first and then deal with the two Kuroki family ninjas. Everyone nodded. Just now, Hinata had used his Byakugan to explore the situation in the mining area and determine the location of the enemies in the mining area. According to Hinata's Byakugan, there are only 2 people with chakra in this mining area, one big and one small, in the east of the mining area. The rest of the people are ordinary people, including 3 wandering samurai. But according to King Zhu, the strongest samurai in the mining area is Kuroki Ito, and the 3 people left are not as strong as him. Most of them are just Genin level. Although Kurinai Yuhi was relieved after knowing the opponent's strength. However, for the sake of safety, she did not choose the more efficient split-up action, but decided to act together. Leave it to me. After Kurinai Yuhi finished speaking, Kiba Inuzuka could not wait and rushed up with a kainu and his dog. Being besieged just now made him very angry. Are you looking for death, kid? The sentry saw Kiba Inuzuka rushing towards him and showed a hideous smile. He smashed Kiba Inuzuka with the stick in his hand. However, this sentry was just an ordinary person. In a one-on-one situation, how could he be a match for Kiba Inuzuka? No matter how weak Kiba Inuzuka was, he was a real genin. Woof! Akainu jumped up from Kiba Inuzuka, swiftly dodged the sentry's stick, and then pounced directly on the sentry's face, causing the sentry to lose sight and lose his balance. Inuzuka Kiba seized the opportunity and punched the sentry in the abdomen. The sentry fell to the ground in pain, holding his stomach and curling up on the ground wailing. At the same time, the other sentries were easily defeated by Aburame Shino, who controlled the insects. Facing ninjas, even the lowest-ranking genin among ninjas, ordinary people are no match. After easily dealing with 2 sentries, several people went straight into the mining area. At the same time, the battle at the gate just now also attracted the attention of other sentries in the mining area. After Kamisato Tsukika and others entered the mining area, a group of sentries had already surrounded them, and sentries in the distance were still gathering here. Facing these sentries, whether it was Yuhi Kurenai, Yuzuki Yugao, or Kamisato Tsukika, they did not take action, but just supported Hinata and the other 2, so that the 3 of them could cooperate to deal with these sentries. Perhaps because they had already experienced being besieged once, or because there was someone to support them, they did not have to worry about death. The 3 performed much better this time than last time. They cooperated with each other in the battle and soon knocked down those sentries one by one. Such a big commotion had already attracted the attention of the miners in the mining area. After seeing the sentries being knocked down and seeing Aesuk, the miners slowly surrounded them. Brother Midorito, Brother Gasuk, Brother Chuan, I'm here to save you. Aesuk spoke excitedly to the people around him. These are the ninjas from Konoha village. They're all very powerful ninjas. This time the Black Autumn family will definitely be eradicated. Osamu Gold Mountain is saved, Aesuk said, wiping away tears excitedly. And the miners were also excited when they heard this, and kept saying thank you to Yuhi, Kurenai, and others. Some people even knelt down excitedly. This made Inuzuka Kiba and Hinata shy, and even Aburame Shino was excited at this time. On the contrary, Kamisato Tsukika's expression did not change, but he just looked at the height in front of him. So you are a ninja from Konoha. I'm so excited. Then, let me hold a grand funeral for you. As the crowd was boiling, a voice came from above and reached people's ears. Instantly, the scene became quiet. Hey Chuleya, here he comes. Chapter 37, That Boy is Very Dangerous. Kuroki Raiga is here. He has long green hair, thick eyebrows, and sharp teeth when he speaks. He is wearing a bandage on his upper body, a black vest on the outside, and ordinary ninja pants on his lower body. He carries a little boy on his back, holding 2 strange-looking weapons in his hands. He is not an ordinary person at first glance. 7 ninja swordsmen, Thunderblade, Kuroki Raiga. Kurenai spoke solemnly. She had recognized Kuroki Raiga. Even if she had not seen him in person, almost every Jnin had seen the information of the famous ninja in the ninja world, the 7 ninja swordsmen. As an elite Jnin of Konoha, Kurenai had naturally seen it, and believed the information very much, including the portrait. You know me? But it's normal. After all, you are a Jnin of Konoha. Kuroki Raiga didn't care that Kurenai recognized him. On the contrary, he was very proud. After all, being able to have your name remembered by ninjas from other villages is a symbol of strength in this world. Hinata, yeah, Shinowu, you take the others away first. This person is a defected elite genin from Kirigakure. Yuhi Kurenai spoke up. Since the other party is Kuroki Raiga, then Hinata and the others are meaningless here. They can't participate in the battle at the elite genin level. As for why Kamisato Yuehua was asked to leave together, it was naturally because Yuhi Kurenai didn't know Kamisato Yuehua's true strength. Hearing Yuhi Kurenai say that Kuroki Raiga is an elite genin, Hinata and the other two also realized the seriousness of the matter and did not hesitate to take these ordinary people away quickly. Yuehua-kun, let's go together. Seeing Kamisato Yuehua stop there without moving, Hinata stopped, nervously and anxiously came to Kamisato Yuehua and pulled the corner of Kamisato Yuehua's clothes. I don't have to leave. You take those people away first. Trust me. Kamisato Yuehua spoke up, causing Yuhi Kurenai to frown. You may not know what kind of strength the elite genin possesses. It's very dangerous here. Hurry up and leave with Hinata. Yuhi Kurenai spoke. In her opinion, although Kamisato Tsukika's attack was indeed amazing before, her strength was much stronger than Hinata and the others. But no matter what, Kamisato Tsukika was just a genin who had just graduated from the ninja school for 2 months. It was already very good that her strength could reach the level of Chunin, and Chunin could only be killed instantly in front of the elite genin. Not to mention that the enemy was Kuroki Raiga, one of the 7 ninja swordsmen, and an elite among the elite genin. Senior Kurenai, Wu's strength is not worse than mine. It was Yuzuki Yugao who spoke. When this was said, Yuhi Kurenai was immediately shocked and couldn't help looking at Yuzuki Yugao. After seeing that the other party was not joking, Yuhi Kurenai was shocked and shocked. Not worse than Yuzuki Yugao. That means that Hinata, a classmate, this boy who just graduated from the ninja school for 2 months, has the strength of a genin? Another genius Kakashi? Yuhi Kurenai couldn't help but think of her old classmate. Hinata, you go first. Kamiri Tsukika spoke again, asking Hinata to leave first. Although he was confident that he could protect Hinata's safety, he was also afraid that something unexpected would happen. However, this conversation between the few people made Kirichu Raiga sneer. Leave? Humph! None of you can leave today, and you will all be buried in this place. As he said this, Kirichu Raiga raised the thunderblade in his hand and was about to attack the few people directly. When Kirichu Raiga raised the knife, Yuhi Kurenai also moved. Illusion, tree, binding kill. In Kurochi Raiga's eyes, he saw that Yuhi Hong and the others in front of him disappeared in an instant, and then his feet were suddenly bound by something. Kurochi Raiga looked down and saw that it was the roots of the tree. The tree, connected by the roots, was growing rapidly, and in a blink of an eye, it was already as tall as him. In an instant, Kurochi Raiga knew that he was in an illusion. But Kurochi Raiga was not panicked at all. Illusion? Haha. After Ranmaru, he no longer took illusion seriously. And the fact is that when Kurochi Raiga realized that he was in an illusion, the picture in his eyes changed again. The sense of restraint under his feet also disappeared. Illusion lifted, but Kurochi Raiga's pupil shrank, because in front of him, 3 figures had appeared at this time, slashing at him from 3 different directions. Without any hesitation, Kurochi Raiga quickly jumped back, and the thunder blade in his hands merged together. Lightning style, thunder armor. Suddenly, a large amount of lightning was generated, and the lightning sizzled and emitted a dazzling light. This made the approaching Yuzuki Yugao stop helplessly. Just now, when Yuhi Kurenai used illusion on Kuroki Raiga, Yuzuki Yugao followed up and used the 3-moon dance. Originally, she wanted to cooperate with Yuhi Kurenai to kill or seriously injure Kuroki Raiga, but she didn't expect that Kuroki Raiga could break Yuhi Kurenai's illusion so quickly, making them miss such a good opportunity. This made Yuhi Kurenai and Yuzuki Yugao feel heavy-hearted, thinking in their hearts, the 7 ninja swordsmen are indeed worthy of their reputation. However, the two did not know that Kuroki Raiga was also sweating coldly at this time. If it weren't for Ranmaru on his back who took the initiative to remove the illusion for him, he would have been either dead or injured. He was careless, thinking that the other party was just too genin, and underestimated the enemy. Kuroki Raiga's heart became heavy. That boy is very dangerous. Suddenly, Ranmaru's voice came, which made Kuroki Raiga stunned. When I used my red eyes to observe, I saw that his chakra was not outstanding, but now he gives me a very dangerous feeling. Ranmaru continued to speak. His tone was a little scared. This made Kuriko Raiga feel more solemn. Because Ranmaru's bloodline limit red eyes can not only see through objects, observe chakra, and use chakra to create images, but also sense power and danger. Since Ranmaru really evaluated that boy, then that young-looking boy might be the most terrifying one among these people. This made Kuriko Raiga feel tricky. Although he is one of the famous 7 ninja swordsmen and an elite among the elite genin, if the opponent is 2 elite genin plus 1 genin, then he is unlikely to be his opponent. Just when Kuriko Raiga was considering whether to leave directly, a thunderous sound came from the sky. Boom! The thunder resounded through the sky, and the clouds in the sky became darker, and it seemed that there would be a rainstorm later. Hey, it seems that the heavens are helping me. After taking a look at the dark sky, Heichu Leia grinned and became confident again. He is the user of the Thunderblade. With his blade and Ranmaru's ability, he may not only hold a grand funeral for the people in front of him today, but also improve his strength to a higher level. Chapter 38, It's My Turn to Perform. The change in weather made Kirichu Raiga regain his confidence. He looked at Yuhi Hong and others on the opposite side and grinned. I'm even more excited. I will prepare a grand funeral for you. Kirichu Raiga spoke and pointed the Thunderblade in his hand at Yuhi Hong and Mao Yuxiyan. Lightning-style Thunderball. The carrot of the thunder nature was transmitted to the top of the Thunderblade. On the tip of the blade, the silver-white Thunderball quickly condensed and shot out. Facing the attack of thunder and lightning, Yuhi Hong and Mao Yuxiyan quickly dodged. Boom boom. 2 sounds rang out, and 2 small pits appeared where Yuhi Hong and Mao Yuxiyan stood just now. It can be imagined how terrible the consequences would be if the Thunderball attacked a person. However, Yuhi Hong and Mao Yuxiyan were not vegetarians. While dodging the Thunderball attack, just now, Mao Yuxiyan had already approached Kirichu Raiga quickly with a knife. Yuhi Hong once again formed a seal to release illusion, intending to create an opportunity for Mao Yuxiyan. Illusion Tree Binding Kill. It was the same illusion, which was also the most powerful illusion of Yuhi Kurenai, and Kuroki Raiga was hit again. But in less than a second, the illusion was once again solved by Ranmaru behind Kuroki Raiga. Ding 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 ding. Looking at Kuroki Raiga, who was fighting with Yuzuki Yugao in close combat, Yuhi Kurenai frowned. The opponent's speed of removing the illusion was a bit too fast. Although she had just cast the same illusion, it was definitely more powerful and should not be solved so quickly. Could it be? Teacher Kurenai, there's that little boy on Kuroki Raiga's back. Hinata, who had been rolling her eyes, spoke up to remind her. She saw Ranmaru's red eyes. I don't know why, but those eyes made Hinata feel very uncomfortable, as if she had seen her natural enemy. As soon as Hinata said this, Yuhi Kurenai secretly said, as expected. Just now she guessed that the person behind Kirichu Raiga helped him to remove the illusion, and Hinata's words undoubtedly confirmed this guess. The method to remove the illusion is very simple. Just disrupt the flow of chakra. If broken down, there are 2 different methods. One is for pupil-type illusions, which can only be broken by others disrupting the flow of chakra. The other is non-pupil-type illusions, which can be broken by oneself or others disrupting the flow of chakra. Her illusion is naturally a non-pupil type illusion, and the person who is hit can also break it by disrupting the flow of chakra. But the tree binding killing is different from other non-pupil type illusions. The tree binding killing illusion has some binding characteristics in it, which can prevent others from disrupting the flow of chakra. So if you want to remove this illusion, unless the strength of the caster and the one who is hit is very different, or the person who is hit is also very Grandmaster illusion, otherwise, it will take a little time, and this little time can create many opportunities for the caster. The difference between Kuroki Raiga's strength and hers is not that big, and Kuroki Raiga is not a Grandmaster Illusion Ninja. So there's only one reason why he can remove the tree binding kill so quickly. That is, someone took the initiative to help him remove the illusion. Yugao. Yuhi Kurinai spoke, signaling Yuzuki Yugao. At the same time, Yuhi Kurinai formed a seal and cast an illusion again. But this time, the target of Kurinai's illusion was no longer Kuroki Raiga, but Ranmaru on Kuroki Raiga's back. Illusion Tree Binding Kill. After casting the illusion on Ranmaru, Kurinai did not stop and quickly mobilized chakra again to continue casting illusions. And this time, the target of the illusion was Kuroki Raiga. On the other side, Yuzuki Yugao also understood Kurinai's meaning and directly cast her swordsmanship. Konoha style Kai Mikazuki dance. The two cooperated tacitly, and this time, Kuroki Raiga was either dead or injured. However, they still underestimated Kuroki Raiga and Ranmaru, especially Ranmaru. Ranmaru's red eyes are very strong. Although Ranmaru did not break the illusion that Kurinai cast on him instantly, he recovered quickly. After breaking the illusion cast by Kurinai, Ranmaru was ready to remove the illusion for Kuroki Raiga, but found that it was no longer necessary. Kuroki Raiga had already removed Kurinai's illusion by himself. After all, Kuroki Raiga is an elite genin. After being hit by Kurinai Yuhi's illusion twice in a row, he was on guard against her. So after being hit by the illusion for the third time, Kuroki Raiga quickly broke it himself. But even so, he was still injured. Yuzuki Yugao was too close to Kuroki Raiga just now, and a modified three-moon dance was indeed a killer move. It was normal for Kuroki Raiga to suffer a loss when facing this kind of swordsmanship for the first time. However, it was just an injury. Kuroki Raiga's experience accumulated from countless battles over the years, and his body's instinctive reaction saved him from danger. "You are injured." Ranmaru spoke with concern, and he was a little regretful now. When he was spied on before, he should have created a false impression for the other party instead of exposing his existence. In fact, this is also the reason why Kamisato Tsukika and others can see Ranmaru. He has been exposed, and there is no need to continue to disguise himself in the package. It's okay. I have basically collected their attack methods. Next, it's my turn to perform. Kurosho Raiga didn't even look at his wound, which didn't affect his actions. After saying that, Kurosho Raiga made a seal. Ninjutsu Mist Shinobi Technique. In an instant, thick fog appeared, spreading rapidly with Kurosho Raiga as the center. When the thick fog appeared, Yuhi Kurinai and Yuzuki Yugao also quickly joined together and came to Hinata and Kamisato Tsukika. It's Kirigakure's Mist Shinobi Technique. Hinata locked Kurosho Raiga's position. Yuhi Kurinai spoke quickly, holding a kunai and scanning the surroundings vigilantly. Yuzuki Yugao and Kamisato Tsukika also held knives in the other two directions, and the three of them formed a triangle to protect Hinata. "Captain Y, your front." Hinata spoke. The thick fog could not cover the sight of the white eyes. She saw Kurosho Raiga. After hearing Hinata's reminder, both Kurinai and Yuzuki Yugao immediately shifted their attention to the thick fog in front of Yuzuki Yugao. Only Kamisato Tsukika beside him shook her head secretly. He knew that Kuroki Raiga would not appear from that direction, because the thick fog could not cover Hinata's white eyes, but the red eyes could. The red eyes were the nemesis of the white eyes. So, when Kurinai and Yuzuki Yugao's attention were all in front of Yuzuki Yugao, a lightning bolt had already appeared in front of Kurinai. Chapter 39. Crisis in the thick fog with a faint light and a piercing sound. Lightning passed through the thick fog, like a lion majesty, showing its sharpest fangs to Yuhi Kurinai. This was too sudden. Yuhi Kurinai, who completely trusted Hinata's Byakugan, was now paying attention to the position in front of Yuzuki Yugao, but the silver-white lightning was targeting herself. So when Yuhi Kurinai heard the sound and reacted, she was too late to dodge. She could only subconsciously cross her hands in front of her to protect her head and make a defensive posture. Not only Yuhi Kurenai herself, but also Yuzuki Yugao and Hinata did not react to this change. When they saw the lightning appear, it was impossible for them to support Yuhi Kurenai. However, just when Kuroki Raiga himself thought he was about to succeed, something strange happened. In front of Yuhi Kurenai, a wall of earth rose from the ground. This wall of earth was not tall, only about 2 meters, but it was very thick, 1 meter thick. Rather than saying it was an earth wall, it was better to say it was a mound. But it doesn't matter. The important thing is that after the earth wall appeared, the lightning just hit it. Bang! A slight muffled sound was heard, but it soon disappeared. The earth wall was as still as a mountain, and the lightning had dimmed and annihilated. Caught up, Kamisato Tsukika spoke, knowing clearly where Kuroki Raiga was. He was well prepared and blocked the attack for Yuhi Kurenai. In fact, Kamisato Tsukika had more and better ways to deal with this lightning, and he could also kill Kuroki Raiga quickly. But Kamisato Tsukika did not do that. There are not many ninjas at the level of elite Jnin in the whole world, and they are very rare. To know how rare they are, it can be said that there are more than 100,000 ninjas in the current ninja world, but there are less than 100 elite Jnin, or even less. Take Konoha, for example. As the largest ninja village in the ninja world, it has the most ninjas, but there are only a few elite Jnin in Konoha, and there are less than 20 in the dark. Every elite Jnin is an extremely rare existence. Being able to fight against an elite Jnin like Kuroko Raiga, who is known as one of the 7 ninja swordsmen, is definitely a rare opportunity for Yuhi Kurenai and Yuzuki Yugao. So Kamisato Tsukika chose to secretly support the two of them, to give them experience, and to see if they could deal with Kuroko Raiga. Seeing that the lightning was blocked, Yuhi Kurenai breathed a sigh of relief. Although the lightning could not kill her directly, it would definitely injure her and affect the subsequent battle. But how could it be? I clearly saw them over there. Hinata said in disbelief, pointing her finger in front of Yuzuki Yugao. She was sure that she was not mistaken. On the other side, after seeing their attacks blocked, Kuroko Raiga and Ranmaru were both stunned. Then Kuroko Raiga grinned. What good luck. Let's try again, Ranmaru. Obviously, the failure of this attack was considered by Kurochi Raiga as luck. He did not think that Kamisato Tsukika saw through him and Ranmaru. Yeah. Ranmaru nodded, his eyes glowing red, creating an illusion in Hinata's Byakugan vision again. Teacher Hong, they're coming. Hinata spoke nervously. Her eyes widened to make sure she could clearly see the actions of Kuroki Raiga. After hearing Hinata's words, Yuhi Kurenai and Yuzuki Yugao also became alert and looked at the thick fog in front of Yuhi Kurenai. However, this time, neither Yuhi Kurenai nor Yuzuki Yugao focused all their attention here, but were alert to the surroundings at the same time. Soon, the thunder sounded again. This time it appeared above them. When they heard the thunder, Yuhi Kurenai and Yuzuki Yugao subconsciously moved to dodge. But after moving, Yuhi Kurenai regretted it in her heart. Hinata, she spoke, and quickly looked at where Hinata was. Diabang. Several thunderbolts fell from the sky and hit the ground. Silver light burst out, and mud and sand splashed. The light of lightning allowed Kurenai to see clearly where they were just now, which made her feel relieved. Because Hinata was not there, she also dodged. On the other hand, Yuzuki Yugao did not have this worry. She knew the strength of Kamisato Tsukika, and this level of attack would not hurt Kamisato Tsukika and Hinata. And the fact is that when the thunder appeared and fell on everyone's head, Kamisato Tsukika hugged Hinata and dodged directly. Thank you, Tsukika-kun. Hinata spoke softly. She was hugged tightly by Kamisato Tsukika's hand at this time. The two bodies were pressed together. Kamisato Tsukika's body temperature made Hinata feel a little hot. It seems that the other party has the ability to interfere with the Byakugan's vision and accurately lock our position. It should be that child. He has some kind of secret technique or pupil technique. Kamisato Tsukika spoke, looking into the depths of the thick fog, with a Black Hole Raiga's thunder knife was raised again, obviously to continue the attack. In fact, in the thick fog, Kureizuchi Raiga also couldn't see the position of Kamisato Tsukika and others. The reason why he could accurately locate them was entirely due to Ranmaru. Lightning-style thunder. Thunder and lightning appeared again, and this time the target of thunder and lightning was Yuhi Kurenai and Yuzuki Yugao. Although Ranmaru had said that Kamisato Tsukika was very dangerous, it was precisely because of this that Kureizuchi Raiga had to get rid of Yuhi Kurenai and Yuzuki Yugao first. After all, only after getting rid of the two weak ones can they better fight against the strong ones. Squeak, boom. Lightning and lightning fell from the sky again and struck Yuhi Kurenai and Yuzuki Yugao. Because they were attacked accurately twice in a row, Yuhi Kurenai and Yuzuki Yugao also knew that Kureizuchi Raiga could lock their position in the thick fog, so they were prepared. When the lightning appeared at this time, they quickly dodged, and after dodging, the two did not stop and moved in a certain direction with all their strength, intending to rush out of the thick fog. This is also the best choice. If they don't rush out, they can only passively take the beating, and if they defend too long, they will lose. Once they make a mistake, the situation will be bad. With the help of Ranmaru, watching the fast-moving Yuhi Kurenai and Maui Yugao, Kirichi Raiga naturally saw through their thoughts. He showed a ferocious smile, and then rushed directly towards Yuhi Kurenai. Between Maui Yugao and Yuhi Kurenai, he chose to attack Yuhi Kurenai, who had poor Grandmaster Illusion melee ability. Soon, Maui Yugao rushed out of the thick fog, while Yuhi Kurenai was blocked by Kirichi Raiga in the thick fog. Ding 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 ding, the two kept fighting. Yuhi Kurenai, holding a kunai, was obviously not the opponent of Kirichi Raiga, who was good at using a knife. Coupled with the influence of the thick fog, Yuhi Kurenai was severely suppressed for a while, and there were dangers. If no one helped, it would probably take less than 2 minutes for Yuhi Kurenai to be injured or even killed by Kirichi Raiga. Chapter 40 Reversal. Listening to the sound of sharp blades colliding in the distance, even though she couldn't see the duel between Yuhi Kurenai and Kuroki Raiga, Kamisato Yuehua knew that her situation was definitely not optimistic. So Kamisato Yuehua let go of Hinata's hand and quickly formed a seal. Wind style, the wind is passing. Suddenly, a strong wind blew. The fog surged quickly, and the wind blew the clothes of the people in the thick fog. The sudden strong wind was obviously not within Kuroki Raiga's expectations. His offensive was stopped by the strong wind, and Yuhi Kurenai also seized the opportunity to quickly distance herself from Kuroki Raiga. Soon, the thick fog completely dissipated, exposing everyone's position again. Senior Kurenai, are you okay? After seeing Yuhi Kurenai again, Yuzuki Yugao quickly came to Yuhi Kurenai's side. At this time, Yuhi Kurenai was panting. The collision with Kuroki Raiga just now consumed a lot of her physical strength. Fortunately, you dispersed the thick fog in time. Otherwise, it would be terrible. Yuhi Kurenai spoke with relief. In the short fight, just now, she felt that she had walked on the edge of death. That guy seems to be good at ninjutsu. On the other side, Kirichi Raiga looked at Kamisato Tsukika and spoke with a serious tone. The wind-style ninjutsu of that level just now cannot be performed by ordinary ninjas. But it doesn't matter, it's almost time, and lightning will soon wreak havoc on the world. Boom! Listening to the thunder that sounded again, Kirichi Raiga said to himself. On the other side, Yuzuki Yugao and Yuhi Kurenai seemed to have a new tactic, and the two rushed towards Kirichi Raiga again. Facing the two people who took the initiative to attack, Kirichi Raiga took a defensive posture, his eyes turned quickly, and when the two were not far from his position, Kirichi Raiga inserted the thunder blade in his hand directly into the ground. Lightning style, thunder walk. Suddenly, the ground was covered with silver-white light, and the light flashed. It was lightning moving on the ground. Facing this attack, Yuhi Kurenai and Yuzuki Yugao naturally jumped up to avoid being paralyzed by lightning. However, Kuroki Raiga was waiting for this opportunity. When the two jumped up, he showed a smile of conspiracy then pulled out the two thunder sword from the ground and raised them to the sky. The thunder fell again, and this time Yuhi Kurenai and Yuzuki Yugao were in the sky with nowhere to get support, and the two seemed to be attacked by Kuroki Raiga. Teacher Hong. This scene made Hinata exclaim, her eyes full of worry. Even Kamisato Uehua on the side was ready to support the two at any time. Training is a good thing, but if you die from training, it is not a good thing. This time, Kuroki Raiga's attack worked, but not all of them worked, because his attack did hit two people, but these two people were Yuzuki Yugao. To be precise, it was the two shadow clones of Yuzuki Yugao, because when she jumped up, Yuzuki Yugao used Konoha-style Kai Mikazuki dance, splitting out two shadow clones, directly blocking the attack for herself and Yuhi Kurenai. What? This was obviously beyond Kuroki Raiga's expectations, and he exclaimed, but it was too late to react. At this time, Yuhi Kurenai and Yuzuki Yugao had already arrived in front of him. Ding ding ding. The three of them started fighting in close combat directly. Under normal circumstances, Kuroki Raiga, as one of the elite genin of the 7 ninja swordsmen, has absolutely no doubt about his close combat ability. Neither Yuhi Kurenai nor Yuzuki Yugao is his opponent. Even if the two of them were added together, they could not beat Kuroki Raiga in close combat. But that was normal. Don't forget that now Kuroki Raiga is carrying Ranmaru on his back, which in itself has an impact on Kuroki Raiga's close combatability. Not to mention, Ranmaru is still the person that Kuroki Raiga must protect and cannot let him get hurt. Yuhi Kurenai and Yuzuki Yugao don't know the story of Kuroki Raiga and Ranmaru, nor do they know what kind of status Ranmaru holds in Kuroki Raiga's heart. But the two understand that Ranmaru has a strong auxiliary ability to Kuroki Raiga and is Kuroki Raiga's other pair of eyes. Because of Ranmaru's existence, Yuhi Kurenai's illusion attack on Kuroki Raiga is greatly reduced and even almost useless. It was also because of Ranmaru that they were in crisis just now. So the tactics that Yuhi Kurenai and Yuzuki Yugao formulated just now were that the two of them would besiege Kuroki Raiga in close combat. Yuzuki Yugao would contain him, and Yuhi Kurenai would look for an opportunity to attack Ranmaru. First, destroy Kuroki Raiga's eyes. Kuroki Raiga also saw through Yuhi Kurenai and Yuzuki Yugao's ideas, but he had no way to deal with them, because he was already close to him and the two of them were targeting Ranmaru on his back. Kuroki Raiga couldn't get away at all. Swish! Soon, Kuroki Raiga had another scar on his body, but Yuhi Kurenai was also kicked. Swish! Kuroki Raiga had another scar on his body, and Yuzuki Yugao's clothes were also torn and almost scratched. The three of them quickly attacked, and the sharp weapons collided, sparks flew. But the situation was obvious. Kuroki Raiga, who was careful about his hands and feet, was suppressed by Yuhi Kurenai and Yuzuki Yugao. If this continued, Kuroki Raiga would definitely lose. This made Hinata, who was watching the battle on the side, breathe a sigh of relief, and the self-blaming heart was also better. While Kamisato Uehua was relieved, she didn't dare to relax at all. The more critical the moment, the more likely it is to have a reversal. Kamisato Uehua didn't want Yuhi Kurenai and Yuzuki Yugao to get into trouble under her nose. Puff! After being injured again, Kuroki Raiga was already anxious. Boom! The thunder and lightning in the sky resounded again, and the dark clouds were as thick as ink. A thunderstorm is coming. Puff! With a painful sound, the kunai in Yuhi Kurenai's hand finally found the right opportunity and stabbed into Ranmaru's body. Under the constant siege of Yuhi Kurenai and Yuzuki Yugao, Kuroki Raiga still failed to protect Ranmaru, causing Ranmaru to be injured. Ranmaru's painful voice made Kuroki Raiga's face change drastically. He directly ignored Yuzuki Yugao's attack and forcibly retreated to the back. Swish! His thigh was hit hard by a knife, but Kuroki Raiga endured the pain and jumped onto the high platform beside him. After he came to the high platform, he did not care about the injury of his thigh, but quickly hugged Ranmaru from his back and spoke with a look of concern, nervous fear, and self-blame. Ranmaru, are you okay? I'm fine. Ranmaru spoke with pain, but his face was pale. There was a layer of cold sweat on his forehead. However, how could he be okay? Just now, Yuhi Kurinai's kunai directly pierced Ranmaru's body. Kurosho Raiga looked at Ranmaru's painful appearance, feeling guilty and angry. He hurriedly checked Ranmaru's injuries. When he lifted the bloodstained clothes and saw the wound on Ranmaru's left abdomen, Kurosho Raiga's face turned pale. This injury is very serious for adults. If it is not treated in time, it may be life-threatening. And for Ranmaru, who is already weak and can't even walk, this is a fatal injury. Ranmaru, I'm afraid he will die. Damn it, damn it. Chapter 41 Explosion, Natural Thunder. Angry. Ranmaru's injury made Kurochi Raiga completely angry. Kurochi Raiga used to be a lonely and confused person. He didn't know the meaning of his life and lived only for the mission. Until he met Ranmaru, the person who could see through his heart, made him feel that he was really needed and that his existence was valuable. Since then, Ranmaru has become more important to Kurochi Raiga than his own life. And now, Ranmaru is going to die. This is undoubtedly a devastating blow to Kurochi Raiga's spiritual world, causing Kurochi Raiga to explode completely. You damn it. I want you to die. Kurochi Raiga stared at Yuhi Hong and Yuzuki Yugao with red eyes, and he wanted to tear them into pieces in his heart. Boom! Tick, tick, tick. With another thunder roar, it rained. The raindrops were big and hit the ground heavily, and soon the ground became wet, soaking the clothes of several people. In the heavy rain, Heichu Leia hunched his body, holding Ranwan, trying his best to shield Ranwan from the rain, but it was useless. The rain flowed down Heichu Leia's hair, fell from Heichu Leia's face, and fell on Ranwan. It's so cold. Ranwan's pale face looked even paler in the rain. He spoke, feeling so cold, just like the previous winter when he was alone in a thin quilt and couldn't keep warm. I'll take you to the fire soon. Ranwan, wait for me. It will be soon. Heichu Leia, who was awakened by Ranwan's voice, spoke, saying that he wanted to carry Ranwan again, but he was afraid that this would aggravate Ranwan's injuries, and he was at a loss. Am I going to die? Ranwan spoke again. He felt that he was not only cold, but also very tired and wanted to sleep. No, I won't let you die. Ranmaru, we agreed to live together. Kurochi Raiga tried to comfort him, but his hands were shaking and his expression was ugly. His forced smile looked like crying. Ranmaru suddenly felt that he was no longer cold. He was no longer sleepy. His body even became warmer. He stretched out his hands in Kurochi Raiga's arms and gently hugged Kurochi Raiga. The power in his hands surged. That was Ranmaru's vitality. Originally, Ranmaru's vitality was not much. But I don't know what happened. Just now, Ranmaru felt that his vitality suddenly increased a lot. Although it was fading quickly, it was enough. Live on with my share, transferring the last of his vitality into Kurochi Raiga's body. Ranmaru whispered in Kurochi Raiga's ear, and then his body completely collapsed in Kurochi Raiga's arms. This time, Kurochi Raiga did not call Ranmaru's name again. He looked ahead with his eyes wide open. His eyes were lifeless. At this moment, many scenes replayed in Kurochi Raiga's mind. In every scene, there was Ranmaru. Boom! Another thunderous sound sounded, as if it struck Kurochi Raiga's mind and woke him up. Gently putting Ranmaru on the ground, Kurochi Raiga stood up again, looking down at Yuhi Hong and Yuzuki Yugao below with an expressionless face. His thigh, which was severely injured by Yuzuki Yugao, just now was no longer bleeding at this time, and seemed to have recovered. You damn it. Kurochi Raiga looked at Yuhiku and Yuzuki Yugao and spoke with an extremely cold voice, which made Yuhiku and Yuzuki Yugao clearly feel the murderous intent. At this moment, Yuhiku was a little regretful. It was not that she regretted killing Ranmaru. No matter what kind of past Ranmaru had and what kind of story there was between her and Kurochi Raiga, one thing could not be covered up. That is, Ranmaru was an accomplice of Kurochi Raiga. After he met Kurochi Raiga, those who died in Kurochi Raiga's hands had to be counted on Ranmaru. Ranmaru's death made Kurochi Raiga very sad. But what about those who died because of Kurochi Raiga? Their death, don't their families, their relatives and friends feel sad? Those who care about the dead, don't they feel sad? Ranmaru's death is karma. and he deserves it. Yuhiku regretted that he missed the best opportunity to kill Kuroki Raiga because he was afraid that Kuroki Raiga would jump to the wall. Now, things have become troublesome. The thought flashed through her mind, and Shiri Hong did not indulge in the emotion of regret, but directly formed a seal to cast an illusion on Kirichu Raiga. Since the little boy was dead, her illusion would be useful again. Mao Yuxian also started to move and jumped up to rush towards Kirichu Raiga. She wanted to cooperate with Shiri Hong's illusion and seize the opportunity to deal with Kirichu Raiga. Although she didn't know what the little boy did to Kirichu Raiga just now, Kirichu Raiga stood up again, which made Mao Yuxian feel uneasy. However, this time, before the two of them started to act and Kirichu Raiga was not hit by the illusion, Kirichu Raiga moved first. Lightning-style Thunder Burial. Boom! A deafening roar resounded through the world, and the silver-white light shone in the sky. The terrible silver-white giant snake came down from the sky and pounced fiercely in Shiri Hong's horrified eyes. Crack! The ground was cracked by lightning. The soil was splashed, and a small pit appeared on the ground. After being knocked down by Kamisato Tsukika at the critical moment, Yuhi Kurenai got up and saw the dark ground, and her whole body was horrified. If the lightning had fallen on her just now, it would be hard to imagine what she would become. Yuhi Kurenai looked at Kamisato Tsukika with gratitude, and then said to Kamisato Tsukika loudly, "Take Hinata away quickly." After that, Yuhi Kurenai quickly moved towards Kuroki Raiga to support Yuzuki Yugao, who had already arrived in front of Kuroki Raiga. Ding 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 ding. Swish! The three of them fought quickly, but this time the situation changed. It was no longer Yuhi Kurenai and Yuzuki Yugao suppressing Kuroki Raiga, but Kuroki Raiga suppressing Yuhi Kurenai and Yuzuki Yugao. Ramuru's death allowed Kuroki Raiga to completely let go, and Ramuru's temporary vitality allowed Kuroki Raiga to completely recover. Coupled with the stimulation of Ramuru's death to Kuroki Raiga, his current mental state is terrible. It can be said that the current Kuroki Raiga is in a new heyday that surpasses his former heyday. And such Kuroki Raiga is simply not something that Yuhi Kurenai and Yuzuki Yugao can deal with. So, after a short fight, Yuhi Kurenai was injured and her forearm was scratched. Yuzuki Yugao was also struggling to hold on, but she was also in danger and couldn't hold on for much longer. If this goes on, the two will definitely lose. No, if it weren't for Kamisato Tsukika, the two would die. It was also at this moment that the two of them deeply felt the meaning of the title of the 7 Ninja Swordsmen. Chapter 42. Fear brought by green light, seeing that they were no match for Kuroki Raiga in close combat. Yuhi Kurenai and Yuzuki Yugao covered each other and kept their distance. And Kuroki Raiga did not catch up either. He stood on a high place with a blank expression on his face. Below, Yuhi Kurenai and Yuzuki Yugao stood side by side. Both of them were panting. The rain soaked their clothes thoroughly, and they looked a little embarrassed. "We must make him fall into the illusion," Yuhi Kurenai whispered. This was the only way she could think of. Yuzuki Yugao nodded. The duel with Kuroki Raiga just now made her feel that she had walked on the edge of death. But it was not over yet. The next was the biggest test. "Go to hell." Kuroki Raiga spoke sharply, and as he spoke, he put the Thunderblade blade together, raised it above his head, and spun it. Lightning-style Thunder Armor. Silver-white lightning poured down from the Thunderblade blade, and in a blink of an eye, it submerged Kuroki Raiga and attached itself to Kuroki Raiga to form armor. In this way, he would not be controlled by illusions before this layer of lightning armor dissipated. After the lightning-style armor was formed, Kuroki Raiga separated Rei Toga and raised it again. Lightning-style Thunderfall. It was still the ninjutsu used before, but the Thunderfall used by Kuroki Raiga this time was definitely different from the previous Thunderfall. Because the Thunderfall used by Kuroki Raiga before was the Thunderfall created by his own chakra. And now, he is guiding the Thunderfall in the sky. Boom, boom, boom. Thunderfall after Thunderfall fell from the sky, densely packed, covering the area of more than 30 meters around Yuhi Kurenai and Yuzuki Yugao below, leaving them no chance to escape. This made Yuhi Kurenai and Yuzuki Yugao's scalps numb for a moment, and they dodged quickly, but they also knew that they could not dodge them all. While the two were trying their best to dodge, Kamisato Uehua also moved. He went directly into the 6th gate Jingmen, disappeared from the spot in an instant, and rushed towards Yuhi Kurenai and Yuzuki Yugao, who were in the thunder. Boom! Crack! When the thunder was about to hit Yuhi Kurenai and Yuzuki Yugao, Kamisato Uehua arrived, hugged one in one hand, and moved again, and quickly rushed out of the minefield. I almost got struck. As he let go of the two, Kamisato Uehua breathed a sigh of relief. This is not anime. The lightning-style ninjutsu in anime doesn't seem to be very good. Rock Lee was still alive, and well after being struck by Kuroki Raiga many times. At most, he lost his ability to move for a short time. However, don't forget how Kuroki Raiga died. He buried himself with lightning. Under the attack of natural thunder, his body was melted by lightning, leaving nothing behind. And now Kuroki Raiga is using the natural thunder that buried himself. Even if the power may be smaller, it is enough to seriously injure Yuhi Kurenai and Yuzuki Yugao or even kill them. Good, what a fast speed. Hinata's eyes widened. Just now, she only felt Kamisato Uehua suddenly disappear from her sight, turned into a green light and flew out, and then flew back. 8 inner gates. Domin? Jingmen? Zihi Kurenai also opened her eyes wide and spoke, her tone full of disbelief. At this time, Kamisato Uehua's body was wrapped in green chakra, which was a strange phenomenon that would only appear when the 8 inner gates opened to the 5th gate. But the green light on Kamisato Uehua's body was too dazzling, with a faint white glow, which seemed to be the 6th gate Jingmen. Thank you for your hard work. Both seniors, leave the rest to me. Kamisato Uehua did not directly answer Zihi Kurenai's words, but just said so, looking up at Kirichu Raiga above. And Kirichu Raiga also widened his eyes at this time. If you look closely, you can see fear in his eyes that were already as dead as water. How could he not recognize this light? During the Third Ninja World War, it was this green light that suddenly appeared and turned the first generation 7 ninja swordsmen into 3 people. He still can't forget the funny man with thick eyebrows wearing green tights. For a long time, that was his psychological shadow. Now more than 10 years have passed, and he thought he had completely forgotten that man. But now, this dazzling green light has unlocked his deepest memory. Good, very good. New hatred and old grudges. The anger brought by Ranmaru's death suppressed the fear in his heart. Kirichu Raiga roared at Kamisato Uehua, raised the thunderblade in his hand high, and was about to attack Kamisato Uehua. And Kamisato Uehua also moved. Although his body was much stronger than normal people, and he could permanently open the 3rd gate of the 8 inner gates, opening the 6th gate still caused Kamisato Uehua to feel severe pain in his body. So he had to resolve the battle quickly. The ground beneath his feet was cracked, and Kamisato Uehua shot out like a cannonball, so fast that it turned into a green light in Hinata's eyes. Even in the eyes of Yuhi Kurenai and Yuzuki Yugao, Kamisato Uehua's figure became blurred with afterimages. And in the eyes of Kuroki Raiga, Kamisato Uehua's figure was also unclear. His speed was too fast, exceeding the limit of normal people's observation. Unless it was a ninja like Sharingan who had equally powerful pupil skills or physical skills, it would be difficult to keep up with this speed. Boom! The lightning struck fiercely and continuously. However, these lightnings could not hit Kamisato Uehua at all, and they missed every time. It was not that Kamisato Uehua's current speed was faster than the lightning, but it was because Kuroki Raiga could not lock Kamisato Uehua's position at all, and the speed at which he summoned lightning could not keep up with Kamisato Uehua's movement. In the blink of an eye, Kamisato Uehua had come to Kuroki Raiga. He kicked him hard, and Kuroki Raiga flew backwards, with no time to react or resist. Speaking of which, there's also a difference in 8 inner gates, although both are secret techniques that open the 8 gates in the body to double the strength. 3 times 5 is 15, while 4 times 5 is 20. If Might Dai's combat power before opening the 8 inner gates is 3, and Might Guys is 3.5. Then Kamisato Yuehua is 4 or even 4.5. Before opening the 8 inner gates, the difference between Might Dai and Kamisato Yuehua is only 1 to 1.5. But after opening the 6th gate, assuming that the strength increase is 5 times, the difference between Might Dai and Kamisato Yuehua will suddenly reach a difference of 5 to 7.5. Therefore, Kamisato Yuehua, who has opened the 6th gate, is stronger than Might Dai, who has opened the 7th gate. This strength is enough to tyrannize Kuroki Raiga. What a fast speed! Yuhi Kurenai's eyes widen.
No more novels? Take part in the voting. The most requested novels and those with the most likes will be chosen for publication on euroaudiobooks.com. There, I can upload as much as I want without the risk of receiving a strike. Our 18 novels and other content that exceed what is morally acceptable are only published on Patreon or the free novels page. Remember, the site is funded by donations on Ko-fi and Patreon memberships.